https://discord.gg/flat-earth.
Welcome to 24/7 Flat Earth Discord channel. Be sure to go to VC Chi Check and 1 to get your VC verification tags to get involved in the conversation about our Earth. Be sure to bring your verifiable Earth curvature evidence, though.
Enemy spotted.
24/7 Flat Earth Politics Channel Part 3.
That diagonal lines are going to converge at a single point.
Yes.
Right? So diagonal light rays are going to converge at a single point, that single point being the light source which the light rays are emitting from, stretching from.
Yes, but those diagonal light rays have a specific angle of shadow that they cast. The shadows
Yeah?
we observe do not match those angles.
What do you mean they don't match those angles?
You get a different angle from a single light source. If you plot it on a flat Earth, they don't match what we observe.
What are you talking about?
I'm saying you
When
can
you
get
go do an
divergent
observation and you have a single light source standing above a flat surface,
Yes.
you have object A closer to the light source, object B further away from the light source. The
Yes.
shadow stretching from the object closer to the light source is going to be smaller.
That's correct.
The shadow stretching from the further object is going to be longer.
I
What is
agree.
the problem?
How much longer?
It doesn't matter.
It absolutely matters.
No, it doesn't. Whatever
the point.
whatever the length of the shadows are.
You can draw a straight line from the shadow to the top of whatever you're casting a shadow from, and you can derive where the light source is.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you
Right,
do
you
that,
cannot get this phenomenon. You cannot get this phenomenon. You cannot get this phenomenon and then measure the shadows without first having what I just described.
I don't know how that follows.
Right. Because you're not listening.
I am listening.
It's very simple. The only way you're able to measure the shadows in the first place is because you did have a single light source. One object, object A, closer to the light source, object B,
Sure.
further away.
Yeah,
And then you
so-
measure the shadows.
Yes, so that's one hypothesis, and we can test that. Another hypothesis is that the light is coming in parallel, and the surface is curved, and we can
With
test that
no
too.
evidence.
Do you
That
see
is the
parallel
evidence.
light
That
rays?
the experiment is the evidence.
Right? You don't see parallel light rays. That's not what you observe. That's not what you observe from the sun. That's not what you observe of the earth either. When Eratosthenes did this observation project, he did not see the earth be a sphere.
If you stand under a lamppost, right, you see an umbra and a penumbra. Your shadow is kind of hazy, right? On a clear, sunny day, you don't get that. You get crisp shadows.
Right. There's something
Right,
obstructing the light source. So what about this truism?
Yeah, fair point. Fair point. Except with the moon. So you said you have parallel light rays. Well, then how do you get a differential sinus in the moon shadow from what the globe predicts? So they're not parallel, are they?
They are.
Okay. If they're parallel, then how would you get a differential shadow size from the moon?
I will show you.
Yep.
Fuck, where'd it go?
Hopefully it's in a picture form and not a video.
It is a picture form.
Oh, sweet. Keep in mind, we're talking about parallel light rays
That's right.
and a differential shadow size.
So surely you've seen crepuscular rays, bro.
Yes, but they appear to converge the same way as parallel lines do with perspective.
They appear to
Appear.
converge, but they don't really converge. There you go again with the Maya, with the Hinduistic Maya. This is not empiricism.
It's just a apparent then. They don't actually. They just appear to.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that the case, bro?
Do train tracks actually converge, or do they just appear to? Who's hot
Right,
mic?
but
I
if
mean,
you're
always,
standing on
always
the-
and forever
standing on the
appealing
ground
to it. It
looking up
doesn't.
a rail track, if you're standing on the ground
Always and
looking up a
forever.
rail track, it's slightly different if you're looking up to the sun, is it?
I'm sorry, someone's hot micing.
I mean, that,
Someone
I
has
don't know how it
children
is
in the
like.
background.
I'll get them.
Besides, if you're also looking at the open chat, look at the open chat now, and this is illustrative of the whole point. Right. So therefore, the appeal to this Eratosthenes observation project is insufficient,
I
especially given that it's
understand that.
empirically inadequate. We don't see a ball, and we don't see parallel light rays,
I
and you didn't
agree with
verify
you.
the distance from the Earth between the sun and the Earth, and you didn't verify the supposed size of the sun either.
I agree with you when it comes to 2 data points. As soon as you start adding more data points, that's no longer the case. So what I posted is how the shadows converge. So you have light. So light leaves its source in every direction, right?
The width of the shadow of the moon is smaller than the width of the moon.
He's got a
Right?
picture with an image of converging, diverging, and parallel rays, and then claiming that they're all parallel.
That they're all parallel.
What's all parallel?
You have a picture
Uh-huh.
illustrating converging and diverging rays, but you're supposed to be demonstrating that the light rays are parallel,
Yes,
not
converging,
diverging and not converging.
converging, diverging shadows.
No. Light rays. Look at the image you posted
I'm
from the
looking at the image.
sun.
I posted it. So shall I explain what's happening?
Right.
Okay.
See the
So light
converging
leaves its-
lines in your image. Yes
I
or
see the
no?
lines. I see the lines.
Do you see the diverging lines in your image? Yes or no?
I see that, yes. Shall I
Right.
explain?
That's logically antithetical to parallel, correct?
It is not. Shall I explain?
Really?
Bro, let
There's
him
no
explain,
difference between
man.
parallel
Come
and
on.
convergent and divergent? Okay. Go ahead.
Thank you. So, light leaves a source from every direction, right? Like in a, let's not say sphere. It leaves a source in every direction. So the light from the top of the sun and the light from the bottom of the sun, I'm gesticulating to no one. So the light from the top of the sun hits the top of the moon and the bottom of the moon, right? And in that range of light, it is blocked. And that creates one kind of shadow from the tip of the umbra where it touches the earth to the bottom of the penumbra. Now the same thing happens from the light that's arriving from the bottom of the sun and is blocked by the moon, creates another shadow from the tip of the umbra to the top of the penumbra. And where those are both blocked,
This
you
hurts.
get the
This is
strongest
painful.
shadow, and where only half of that is blocked, you get a penumbra. That is why they converge. The fact that all the rest of the light, you see the light yellow that's still hitting all of the Earth, all of that light is still parallel. That arrives to Earth parallel, and that's simply because of the distance from the sun.
Right, and
All
all
of
that
that
other
light
light
is
Oh
arrives
my
to
leaving,
Earth
god.
as
Oh my
well,
god. Oh my
right?
god.
but the light that arrives to Earth from the sun is parallel. Shadows can converge or diverge depending on how big the light source is and how small the object. And that's what you're doing when you're standing under a lamppost. You can do this in your room by putting a finger in front of a lamp, for example. You get a dark spot.
Are you
and
done? This is painful. This is
Yeah.
really painful.
Go ahead.
Because do you really believe, answer me honestly,
Mhm.
do you really believe that a light ray is stretching like horizontally or in some diagonal manner from the edge of the light source?
If it's, can you ask that
Do you
again?
think the light rays are just somehow choosing to not go, the opposite direction from center, but that they're choosing to go like adjacent left or adjacent right of the center of the light source?
No, that the light just travels straight
Right, from the center, right, in principle, geometrically.
from every point of the light source.
No,
It's
no,
if you've ever done like 3D modeling, that's ray tracing.
no. Stop. We all know that is asinine. When you look at a light bulb, it is not as though one or more light rays is stretching diagonally from the surface of the light bulb. The light rays are emitting from the source, right? Stretching in the opposite direction, omnidirectionally. It's just a straight line stretching from the center, and in principle, a multitude of straight lines stretching in all directions from the center. It
From
is
the
not as
center of-
though the line on the bottom of the sun in your image is just choosing to go to the right of the image toward the moon. No, it's going to go down,
Maybe
right?
I'm not understanding. So when you look at a light bulb, you see the entire light bulb illuminated, right?
Yes.
So if you look at the very top of the light bulb, that's bright to you, right?
There's no difference of brilliance unless the light bulb is not functioning correctly.
Okay,
Not
so
even
maybe I
then,
just didn't understand your question.
right? You're acting as though there's a line stretching horizontally from the bottom of the sun to the moon. That is not how light behaves.
No. That's tracing the path that's creating the shadow. This is a diagram. Light is
Right?
emitted
It's
from
not going
every
from the
point.
surface. Why are you saying that? The
What do
light
you
is
mean
not
from
stretching from the surface, going from the
of this,
source, the center,
like the
omnidirectionally.
center of the sun?
I mean, yes or no? Like you just keep replying something contradicting me, but you want to like affirm or
I'm not sure what you're
deny any.
asking. Are you saying it's only coming from the center of the sun?
Right? You're
No,
acting as though the light rays is coming from the surface of the sun. That's
that's
not
right.
it.
Yes, it
He's
is.
got the conversation
The
in the
light.
weeds here,
My
by the way.
God,
We need to take it back
I'm
to
sorry. No,
the
this is not
point.
controversial.
You got
Every
assumptions
this is
point
about
of the
this.
sun
stupid.
is emitting
You
light.
really think this makes sense? This is what's making this so difficult.
What do
Because
you
when I give the rebuttals to you, you think this is so rock solid. You're not even giving yourself pause to consider the critique. You're
No, I'm
sitting here
considering
telling
it.
me that light
It's just
rays
not true.
are not stretching omnidirectionally from the opposite of the center,
From
but
every
that from the
point,
bottom of the sun is choosing to go horizontally to the right in the image toward the moon. That
from
is not how
every
light behaves.
from every point of the light source. So in a light bulb, it's every point of that light bulb, top, bottom, left, right, center, everywhere. Light is emanating in every direction.
Correct.
Right.
So affirm or deny what I just said.
I
Not
don't
repeat something and neglect what I just said.
know. What you're saying is not what I'm saying.
I know, I know, I know.
And you're wrong.
So affirm or deny what I just said, not
Deny.
repeat something else.
Emphatically deny.
Right. So you cannot demonstrate to me that light is going from the bottom of the surface of the object emitting the light toward the right or toward the left, rather than just going the directly opposite direction from the center it's being emitted from.
In every direction from that source of light. Every
Right. So
point
what
on
I
the
said,
surface of the
not what
sun
you said.
is a point of light. And from that point of light, light is emitted in every direction. From the top of the
Right.
sun, the
So
bottom of the
not what
sun,
you
left, right, and
said,
center.
right? Yes or no?
That's exactly what I said.
No, it's not what you said.
I'm
You're contradicting yourself.
I'm
You're
continually
affirming what
describing
I'm
the
saying to
exact same
you. You're
situation.
affirming what I'm saying to you. And then you say some other asinine breakdown of the behavior of light, as though a light ray or multiple light rays from the bottom of the sun is going to the right to the moon. That is not how light behaves.
It's not going only to the moon. It's stretching out in every direction. This is a
Right.
diagram demonstrating where the shadows are. But they
Right.
don't
So
draw it
not
where the
what you
light is.
said. You're pissing
Exactly
me
what I
off.
said. Exactly what I said. So, okay, you
God.
see the white background on this diagram? We can make that bright, that light yellow color that's going straight, we can make that the same color. That's not a problem. That doesn't change anything.
Did you say something?
Yeah.
What?
So the white in the diagram, the background, we can color that all with that light yellow color and it doesn't change anything. Light is going out from every point on the sun in every direction.
Right. So what is your point with this?
That light comes to Earth from the sun and it arrives to Earth parallel, and we can still get diverging shadows. And that's not a contradiction.
But you don't see that.
We
You don't see
absolutely
that in
do.
reality. That's what you want to illustrate in your picture, in your cartoon. That's
Mhm.
not what you see in reality. Someone please immediately post crepuscular rays. Please now.
Dude, it's simpler than that. So is your claim, sir, that all the light that arrives in the same linear perpendicularity to the surface of the Earth,
Not to the
or
surface
in
of the Earth.
parallelness, whatever you want to
Yes,
say?
parallel.
All the light rays are equal to each other.
Effectively,
So,
yes.
so yeah, so you're wrong. So there you go.
What do you mean?
Your own graphic proves you're wrong. So there's no reason to engage you anymore. Gregory just needs to realize that you're wrong and not engage, and just disengage from your stupidity.
Yeah,
Noted.
I mean that's the same thing. It's just those are
Yep,
parallel
whatever, dude.
too,
You're saying
but
that
they don't
things
affect.
going diagonal from left to right, things going diagonal from right to left, and things going up and down are all parallel to each other. Yeah, get real, bro.
No, I didn't
You're
say
full of
going left
nonsense.
to right are all parallel to each other. That's
You
not what I
did?
said.
I
I
just
said
asked
I
you
light.
think
if
you
all
guys
the
are
light
focusing on
rays
the graph too
parallel.
much. I think it's an illustration of a point he's trying to make,
No, it's an illustration of a point.
not the
You
actual
can't.
behavior of light.
Dude, he said that light arrives at Earth parallel. Parallel to what?
From the sun.
Each other?
Yes.
Okay, so if all the lights arriving parallel, then you can't have light arriving at different angles. I don't know how hard that is to comprehend. Okay, so my advice to the room is to disengage with your nonsense because it's clearly nonsense and there's no reason to engage with it anymore. It's a waste of everyone's time.
Okay, I think maybe the model is confusing people. Let's see if I can find a better one.
Yeah, you go ahead and find a better one. In the meantime, somebody with some common sense,
Oh, hold on.
they want
Sorry.
to ask a question,
need
propose something.
All right. Okay. I do want to get back to the Eratosthenes thing, but I'll keep looking.
You don't have proof of parallel light rays, so Eratosthenes things is moot. So when you come back with
Eratosthenes
the
thing
proof,
is proof
when
of
you come
parallel light
back,
rays. Okay. Okay.
that all the light rays are parallel, which you point, let us know.
And to draw a line under that, you already said in the first sentence when you came in that you know that Eratosthenes doesn't prove the globe and that it would work on both. And then you speculated about
Mhm.
additional tests, which
I didn't
we have no
speculate. I
evidence
posted
that
in side
anyone's
chat.
done. And it's assuming the curvature that we need
No, it's
verified.
not. It is testing both models and arriving to the conclusion that
So if
one
that's
makes
the
more
case,
sense.
Test both
if that's
models. You
the
only
case,
have one
then-
reality to
hold on,
work
Gregory.
with.
Hold on, Gregory. Let me just quickly ask him. So if that's the case, then you're saying that the physical surface of Earth is physically curving, yes?
Yes.
So like it's dropping down and away from you, from your feet?
Effectively, yes.
Okay, has anyone ever measured that drop?
Not the way that was being asked earlier.
Wait, no one's measured the actual drop from the
How
curve?
would you measure that exactly?
Well, you tell me. It would be your claim to prove.
Well, one way to do it is to go to different points on the Earth.
No, I
And
mean like the drop over like 10 miles, say, right?
you mean like against the straight edge?
Yeah.
Yeah, can't be done.
Why can't it be done? Does it exist?
It does exist.
So how can't it be measured?
How would you test the straight edge being straight?
Well, what if you could shoot a laser
No,
over the surface of a lake?
no, that doesn't work.
Why doesn't that work?
If you shoot a laser, by the time you get to the other side of the lake, you're not going to have a pinpoint. You're going to have like a blob of light.
Right, but if the blob of light reaches the other side of the lake that's supposed to be below the curve, that would tell you if there's curve or not.
Not really. Not to
Well,
any.
why wouldn't it? So 10 miles, right? Let's say 10 miles. How much curvature is dropping over 10 miles? Do you know?
I don't offhand.
Okay, so it's supposed to be around 66 feet. Okay, you can check those numbers yourself, but for the sake of the discussion, 66 feet. So if we have a 2-meter target on either side, and we stretch a straight edge between them, say like a laser, that 2-meter target on the other side is supposed to be beneath 50 odd feet of curved water, yeah?
Sure, let's grant that.
Okay, so who's ever shown that to be the case? Has that ever been done?
With a straight edge? No.
Like with a laser? Well, people are doing these tests with lasers and they
Yeah,
hit
that's not gonna work.
targets on the other side. So how
That's
does
not
that
going
work?
to satisfy anybody. Trust me.
Well, how does the laser hit the target at the other side?
I mean, it's lasers is light, and light does
No,
weird
but the
things
target's supposed
across
to be beneath
distance.
50 feet of curved water.
Hmm.
So how's it hitting the target?
You're familiar with the Fata Morgana, I presume?
What do you mean?
You know the Fata Morgana effect?
No, but it's hitting a target at the other side,
Hmm.
right? So the laser is reaching an observer, say, like your eye,
Hmm.
from one side of the lake to the other.
And is the laser going straight?
Well, yeah,
How do you know?
That's what lasers do.
No. How do you know?
Just no.
So why does the laser hit the target on the other side? That's what I'm asking.
I have to see the experiment, but I know that that's not something that you can test. That straightness is not something you can test because everything that we use to measure straightness is susceptible to all the effects that are caused by a curved Earth, like
So how do you know
gravity
it's
and
how do you know it's
diffraction.
curved then if it can't be measured?
Well, one way is not
No,
Eratosthenes
that assumes
specific,
it. We've already
not
been through that.
sorry, I wasn't finished. Not Eratosthenes specific experiment, but experiments that have replicated that with more than just 2 data points. We can see it from the orientation of moon faces from various positions of the Earth at the same time of night. We can
No, but
see
I'm
it
talking about the
from
physical
star
drop over
trails.
10 miles, that 50, 60 feet of drop specifically.
Well, we can calculate it. We can't
No, but you must
physically
be able to
test
measure it. 60 feet is
Why?
measurable. No?
Against a straight edge, maybe, but we can't prove that straightness.
Well, like
I
a
mean, are you
laser.
gonna
Think
use
about a
like a
laser.
spirit level?
Think about like a laser.
I know you said
Powerful laser.
laser. It's just
Yeah.
light.
So you could shoot a laser 10 miles. Yeah. Like a
about
strong
You
laser.
can't prove that the laser is going straight.
Well, how does it hit the target on the other side? If it's level with the target.
how about the 10-mile string? That is possible.
10-mile what?
A string that is 10 miles long.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
You can
you
do that,
guys
right?
get together and figure it
No.
out because this is your claim.
Why
You
not?
can't because a string has weight and it's gonna sag in the middle. You can't
Oh,
pull it
you
completely.
obviously account for that. We use like some sort of mechanical solution to always keep the string expanded.
Right, to
right?
tighten
Or
the
you
stretch of
could
the
just
string.
use a
Yeah.
laser. Yeah, the string would break before you did
Yeah.
that.
Like power lines.
Right, so you can shoot a laser beyond 10 miles. We know this technology exists, yeah?
I don't know that much about lasers, but I suspect you're not gonna have a very definitive experiment where
Well, you know,
everyone
the
agrees that the
military
laser was
uses
straight.
laser range finding, which goes tens of miles.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so
I don't
we
know
have
that, but
lasers
I'll
that
take
can
your
go
word
beyond
for it.
10 miles, so why couldn't you shoot one across a lake?
And the military doesn't correct for the curve of the Earth?
No.
Okay. I mean, I suspect otherwise, but
Okay, let's see it. What's the evidence for that?
I don't know. I'm not proposing that lasers are the way to do it. I'm telling you, there's
Okay,
not
but
going
it's
to
your
be
claim
any.
to prove, though,
There's not
bro.
going to be any. You can derive it from other observations.
We can do this. We can do this.
All
with
you have
long,
done,
We can do
you
this with
you
long
say this
range.
with this small, quiet tone. All you've done is give unjustified negation retort after unjustified negation retort. You just deny carte blanche what Wolf has just said to you.
We can
He's
do this.
told me things that I don't know personally, and he's asked me, "That's right, isn't it?" I can't say yes to that if I don't know personally. I'm
Guys, I have a
sorry.
suggestion.
Right, so you can't prove that there are other options if you explicitly concede you don't know of any other alternatives.
There are other options. We can
Such as?
shoot a bullet with a long range rifle, maybe not 10 miles, but enough to account for the curve of the Earth, right? And see if let's say we have 2 rifles. One does not account for the curve, and the other accounts. Then we see which bullet lands where, right?
No.
Okay, but isn't it strange that
The
at this
moment a
point,
bullet leaves
we
the
in the
gun, it's gonna
Discord
fall.
server are told how to do this? Why hasn't someone done it? This is
Well,
supposed to
I
be
mean,
proven,
I'm
isn't it?
telling you
snipers
that it
do this all
can't
the
be
time. They
done.
account for the curve, bro.
Well, why has no one
Exactly, they
measured
account
the
for the
curve
curve.
of the Earth
Wait, how do you
in
guys feel about that
2023?
Greek guy who found out the world was round like before the
He
Romans
assumed
Empire?
it. He assumed it. We've
You're
been
gonna
through
assume
this
it,
a
you
So,
found
million
out.
times.
speaking about
He is,
enough,
he is like
How do you guys
I'm gonna
explain
assume he's
like
made up
gravitation?
one.
What is your
Whoa,
explanation of gravity?
guys, one at
I've
a
heard of
time. Jeez, oh, where did everyone just come
Gravity
from?
has to do with magnetic fields. The
All right,
inside
no,
of the
well,
Earth is a magnetic center.
talking about the curvature right now because this is to talk about gravity. You have to assume the curvature. We're talking about verifying that assumption. But no
Everyone
one's measured it, and
that
we can't measure it
Okay.
apparently.
everyone that's thinking that the Earth is flat is literally living on a rock.
Cyclone.
So true.
According to the
Cyclone.
United States Army School,
Yeah, what's up?
sniper, people who enjoy the sniper enroll in the
we
sniper
can
program have to account for the curvature.
Shut up. observe. We
Why did
can
you just get
observe
muted
like
mid-sentence?
we can observe
he's
calculate. We
still
can
going.
observe like ballistic missiles using some calculations to account for whatever like
No,
it's
there's a
usually
guy with
accounted,
the
right?
SS
According
symbol.
to
Base.
51% of the Americans, aliens are real. So yeah, you know, Americans aren't really the smart people you should ask
Yeah, they're
questions.
white
Yeah,
people.
they're not really as red-pilled as
They're
you would
white
assume.
people.
Yeah, because in the etymology, the
Yeah,
actual meaning of alien means foreigner, someone from another land, right? So
Another dimension.
if there's immigrants, if there's an immigrant that is coming to your land, is by definition an alien. So yeah, aliens are real, guy.
Yeah, of
So,
course, yeah. Of
so
course, yeah.
just to confirm from the globe side, you're saying that we can't measure the curvature,
Not physically.
not physically. So we just have to imagine it.
No.
how else can you measure?
We just have to
Well-
imagine it. Is that it?
Well, it's
if
like
you can come up
religion.
with a
You
perfect
have to imagine
experiment,
it.
that'd be
It is like
awesome.
in a religion. So we just assume it. We just say we can't measure it. Let's just assume it.
No, it agrees with data.
But we just have to
Show the
assume it.
data.
No. No. We cannot
It's the
we can
belief.
assume we cannot assume either model, and we
Well,
can
you are
test
assuming
what
it because you said it's
observations.
not measurable.
The physical curve of the Earth, there's no way to test straightness against which you would test the drop
So
off.
why are we claiming that it is there if it can't be
Because
measured?
observations that we
with
make don't make sense on a flat model. That's
Come
why.
with
He's on
legit
that front line.
claim that
No
the Earth
one-
is flat. If the Earth is flat, come with the proof.
Well, we can. Look, this guy's just saying you can't measure it, and he's a globie.
Yeah, but the Earth isn't flat. There's enough proof
So why
of that,
can't?
bro.
So why can't it be? Why can't the curve be measured?
Because you can't test straightness over
No,
a
not you.
large enough
This guy who's speaking.
distance.
This new guy. Who's the new guy?
Okay.
So we can't like what can we do? No.
Why can't we measure the curvature if it's a globe?
Okay, and then of the entire planet. Huh?
No, just like over 10 miles, say.
I don't know. It's not my line of work.
Okay.
Okay,
but
so you don't know the
nothing
Earth is a ball.
Nothing
We
is
do.
weird that no one's able to measure the curve that they say.
How would
exists.
you do it?
Well, this is your claim.
You tell us.
There's a
No,
lot of
it's-
factors
believe the
that
Earth is a
go
ball.
into it.
Sorry,
There's
wait.
mountains, there's rivers, there's everything.
Hold on.
No,
Okay,
just over
to
a
be
body of
clear,
water.
this is your demand for evidence.
No, it's your claim. It's your
I know it's
claim
my
of a physical
claim,
reality. Right,
but
so
this
your
is what
claim
you're
requires the
demanding of
evidence.
evidence.
Yeah, we require evidence for claims. That's how
No,
debates
not-
work.
Okay.
You're
You
demanding
want
this specific kind of evidence.
you want your
Yes.
proof? I found your proof.
We want the
Wow.
measurement of the drop over distance.
Okay,
due
the
to gravity.
measurement is
gonna have
actually B2A
Okay,
is
so,
6,335 and 49.
Is it you?
35. There we go. I put it in the chat.
Cool numbers. Which one of you Globers is taking this? Because you're not just going to talk over each other. Doesn't work. Ultra Crunchy or Manufactotum?
I
Okay, I
posted
choose
in the-
Ultra Crunchy. Manufactotum.
I posted in the chat the formula for the formula for the curvation you just told me about. Curving. Curve.
Yeah, but I don't want the formula. I want the measurement.
There we go. The measurement. The measurement is B2A, and B2A stands for. Okay, here. I thought, you can read it yourself. What about that?
Okay, what was
No,
the
what they're
elevation
asking
height?
for is someone who physically went with a straight edge and like a meter stick and measured.
So
That's
what
what
was the post measurement? So what was the location? What was the distance measured? What was the elevation height? What was the tool used?
See?
Yeah, the details. Oh my God, they want the information.
No, you
How
want an
could they?
impossible experiment.
They want us to tell them how we know it's wrong.
It's impossible, so you cannot prove that the Earth is a ball.
Not that way. You can prove it many other ways, but you want the
What
one
are those?
thing that is
What are one of
physically
those?
impossible to do.
What are one of those?
Thing.
An experiment of the kind that Eratosthenes did.
That's not an
Then just
experiment.
assume when we just assume the thing that you just said you
No,
can't prove.
I've explained this
Category
multiple
error.
times now.
Yeah, you've already confirmed that's an assumption, and
I
you just
did
said you
not
can't
confirm.
measure
Are
the
you?
assumption.
Sorry, stop. Okay, I need to know if you're being serious right now, because this is beginning to get aggravating.
Yeah, it's serious because remember, you just said it can't be measured.
No. What did I assume?
That the Earth is a ball.
No.
Yes.
Yes,
No.
you did not actually
I
see the
said-
ball.
I said, and I'll repeat it again for the umpteenth time, you can, from 2 data points like Eratosthenes did, you can make both models work. If you have more than 2 data points, you need not assume a flat Earth or globe Earth, and you can look at the data and figure out which one it is. That's
Let's not
not
jump over
assuming
each
anything.
other.
No, just
Right, that logic sequence is not sufficient. You keep repeating that like it's such a knockdown logic sequence. It's not.
No one seems to
So
be
the
hearing
reason
you.
why, no, not interrupt this, right? Not interrupt this. It's not a knockdown logic sequence because adding another stick or can or whatever the fuck, right? It is not going to indicate that the Earth is a ball. You still have the same issue, the same situation, right? You are interpreting that empirical data, the different shadow lengths, right? The further away the object is from the light source, you're interpreting that as being indicative of the Earth being a ball, even though you're not looking at the Earth be a ball.
You don't need to look at the Earth be a ball. You need to look at what the data indicates.
Right. So you
I'm
don't
just
need to look
saying
at
that.
the goddamn object under scrutiny to see if whether or not the object under scrutiny is or is not curving.
No,
Because that
what would
makes
be the
sense.
point of the experiment? If you could just look
No,
at it
not
and
whisk
tell.
past what I just said. I just exposed how self-defeating and self-contradictory what you just said is.
No, what you said makes no sense. If
No.
we could
Exactly,
look at
because
it,
that's what
if we could
you're
look at it and
affirming,
see that it's a
right?
ball,
That's
why
what
would we
you're
need the
affirming.
experiment?
You affirmed a self-contradictory, self-defeating reply to me,
Just
where you
because
tell me
saying it
the
doesn't mean
Earth itself does not matter in the inquiry about the Earth.
I didn't say the Earth doesn't matter. I said looking at the Earth is not an experiment.
Of
Yeah,
course,
assuming
so
Earth's
stop
a ball.
obscuring the point,
I'm
right?
not assuming.
Again,
Again,
adding
assuming
an
that.
additional can or stick to the additional 2, make it 300 sticks, make it 3,000 sticks, however many sticks you want. That is not indicative the Earth is a ball because you
It
did not
is.
actually see the ball that is supposedly the Earth.
It is indicative. The angles that the shadows cast don't make sense if we know that there's a single light source. They don't make sense on a flat Earth. You need
You have
multiple
no
light
justification to
sources.
say that.
We only have
Say the
one
logic
shadow.
sequence now.
So using simple trigonometry, we can derive the source of light from a single shadow, right? We measure from the tip of the shadow to the tip of the object casting that shadow, and we can derive where the light source is, correct?
No, you
Correct.
don't know where the light source
Okay.
is.
If we can derive it from there. Or no, sorry, wait. So from a single stick and a single shadow, we can derive the direction. With another stick and another shadow, we can triangulate that, not just get a direction, but also get a distance, right? So with 2 sticks,
It's not going to
No.
give you a distance.
it is. It's trigonometry.
No, it's not.
It is.
No, it's not.
It's basic trigonometry.
No, you
can't
didn't. You
do-
didn't go to the light
can't
source. You
do-
didn't go from the
you
stick to
can't-
the light source.
No, you can't do trigonometry on the celestial bodies because if you could, they would do that in celestial navigation, which they don't. But anyway,
Okay,
continue.
let's say you want to draw a triangle then. What's the bottom of that triangle?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, what's the distance?
The bottom of the triangle would be the ground.
Right, so what's that distance?
Uh-oh.
Distance from what?
Between the 2 points.
Which
The
2
bottom
points?
of your triangle.
Does the distance would be from the bottom of the object to the tip of the shadow.
Right, and then your distance to the other one, the other position, what's that distance?
From the 2 sticks?
Sure.
I mean, however far you want to make them.
500 miles?
Sure.
Okay, so that's a flat line then, in your triangulation.
That's the ground. Bottom
No,
of a
not
triangle ain't
necessarily.
curved.
What do you mean not necessarily? The bottom
So
of a
the only thing
triangle.
that's important.
Bottom of the triangle is the ground.
The bottom of the
No.
triangle is a flat line, right?
No, what you're looking at is the
I thought you
angle.
said it was trigonometry.
Did he say no?
Yeah. What you're looking at is the angle that the shadow casts.
Right,
So
but the
the
line
angle
between the
beneath.
two,
Listen.
the
The
line between the
angle.
two angles for your
Right.
trigonometry is a flat line, yeah?
No, you don't need the bottom. You just need the angle that they're converging.
How are you triangulating if you're not using a triangle?
You are using a triangle.
Okay, so you're using a flat baseline.
How could you have
What
the
you
2
said was the
points on the
ground.
bottom of the triangle without the thing upon which the points are on?
So you got a flat base to the triangle, yeah?
Which is the ground.
Not.
No?
That's exactly
No,
what
no,
you
no,
said.
no,
You're
no.
not using
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
triangulation.
Yes, it
right?
is.
Right. Okay. So, where's the image? It's long. Fuck me, I closed it.
Just because triangles usually have a flat baseline. I mean, this is if we let you back the question anyway.
I mean, you don't need the object upon which the points are on that are the points of the triangle somehow. That's BS.
Okay. Here's the thing, right? Are we seeing? Inside chat? Hello? Hello?
What?
Am I muted?
No, you're here, dude.
Okay, so I posted this image, right?
Okay.
Okay, so what we're triangulating is we have the angles from the light ray to the object, right? And we get a direction. We have another object and its shadow and that light ray, and we get another direction. We don't
Right.
really need the bottom. The distance just kind of gives us a direction to aim at.
But the issue there is that the surface is flat and the sun rays are crepuscular, which is the
That's-
opposite of what
that's
the globe is.
And the bottom
Yeah.
2 points of the triangle are on the surface.
That is
So
correct.
If you take the
that would be a
surface
flat
away,
Earth.
you don't have the 2 points of the triangle.
No. You don't need the surface. Cover that up. We still
No,
get
what you just posted.
Just
you
repeat the
posted-
mantra that you don't need
No.
the bottom. But
Okay,
what about
look,
what I just said?
You can put stuff in between, like you can put a stack of books or something, okay? You're still going to get the shadow ending up in the same place. You just need to follow the tip of the shadow, wherever it is, to the tip of the object. That shadow is going
Right,
to
the
continue
points
straight,
are on an
whether it's
object, correct?
obstructed or not.
That's
Right?
a flat Earth you just
Yeah, but
posted.
that
It's supposed to be, the points are supposed to correlate to concrete entities, correct?
The points are, what do you mean by that?
Right? Because the bottom 2 points, especially as it concerns celestial navigation, is the observer, where the observer is on the water, and the GP under the celestial body. Another point, the 2 points out of the 3. If you take away the object upon which the points are on, you don't have a triangle any longer. The surface is not negligible.
No, sorry. Okay, the triangle is from the sun to the first stick and from the other stick to the sun.
Okay, so there's a flat baseline in between those two.
No, you don't need that.
Well, that's what a triangle is.
All you need is the angle. The
That's what a
angle to
triangle
the
is,
sun.
though. Well, yeah, that's what you need for the triangle.
Okay, you can't have
Fine, but
angles
I said
without
fucking
lines, and
triangle.
lines have at least 2 points on each end. There's no avoiding the points, my guy.
Oh, someone already posted it.
Could need 2 straight lines for an angle.
2 straight lines, that's right.
Yeah, so we know all this. The Eratosthenes story can work on either, but which is why we're asking for the measurement of curvature drop, which you said can't be measured. Which you said
So,
can't be measured.
hold on. Goddamn back.
I mean, yeah.
Can't be measured. It's just a false interpretation of shadows, not something that actually exists. But anyway, carry on.
And the shadows are being observed and measured on a flat surface, which you're then just assuming arbitrarily is actually a curved surface. That's what's occurring.
Not assuming.
I mean, no one's measuring a curved
So
shadow,
look
are
at
they?
that second one. You see the second one?
So is your claim that trigonometry in this fashion doesn't work on a flat Earth?
Hold on. How do I copy? Okay.
Even though you can clearly see the triangle.
So this is what we get if we plot those. The measurements that we observe in the real world, and they've done this experiment, we get two different light sources. And if you go further out, that gets lower and lower and lower.
So we're saying it's a flat baseline between Papua New Guinea.
You can make it a flat baseline, but then you need more light sources.
Well, no, but your diagram is a flat baseline. So we're saying it's a flat baseline between Papua New Guinea and Sydney. Could someone do a quick check on the distance between those 2 points?
I don't know why the baseline matters. All you need is the angle.
Because
Oh dear.
Without
across
it,
your surface,
you don't have the bottom 2 points of the triangle.
But see,
just
this
as
How
is
could you have? How
I
could
hate
you
this
do
false
celestial
dichotomy.
navigation if you don't have a position, a point position on the surface of the water, and the point position under the celestial body, the GP?
I hate
Because
this false dichotomy because whenever we talk about this, it somehow turns into, ooh, can you triangulate the position of the sun over a flat plane? No. Are you doing that on a globe? No.
I
So
mean,
what difference does it make?
well, I'm just pointing out that even in their conception, for some reason, they have to assume that the Earth is flat, according to
no,
his diagram. Between Papua New
no,
Guinea and Sydney, that's a flat baseline you've drawn.
no. So
Yes.
again, and for the umpteenth time, we don't make an assumption, and we look at which of these two models, I just posted it again, which of these two models makes more sense.
Well, the model that you posted for your
One
Papua
on
New
the left.
Guinea and
Uh,
Sydney is a
uh,
flat baseline.
but the hypothesis that, well, it's not a hypothesis because it's not an experiment, but foregoing that in figure 2b, it's not like the lines are are meeting the sun either. So it's a false dichotomy, your
No,
argument anyway, because
those.
I'm just saying that your
Mhm.
diagram in figure 2a is showing, or you're trying to force a position on the flat earther that they would be triangulating the position to the sun.
Mhm.
Oh, look, the lines don't match up in real life,
Yeah,
is
they
what
are
the
effectively
what the
parallel.
conclusion almost done, is what
No,
the conclusion is. But at the same time,
they are
in
effectively
figure,
parallel.
why are you interrupting me? Do you want
Sorry,
me to start over?
please do.
So in figure 2a, you have the lines meeting the sun. But
Mhm.
in figure 2b, the lines are parallel, not meeting the sun. Now, in figure 2b, you have some sun that's so far that all of those parallel rays are going to meet it anyway. But in figure 2a, you have some small and local sun where you can triangulate its position. So you're not even trying to triangulate the sun's position in 2b. So it's kind of a false dichotomy anyway.
No, it can't be triangulated from that far using this kind of trigonometry.
No, you can't triangulate the celestial bodies, period. Because if you could, they would be doing that in celestial navigation. I said that 30 minutes ago.
Hmm. I mean, we have done that.
Oh, yeah? Show me.
I believe the distance to the sun was derived by triangulating uh, how Venus travels in front of it, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, but triangulating actually, that's a different argument because we're talking about using trigonometry that uses the assumption that the Earth is on the other side of the sun. That's just the
You're
premises that you have to prove. So let's not go there.
sorry, you
The
dipped
bottom
out for a
line,
second.
the bottom line is that that's not triangulating the position of a celestial body like you would in celestial navigation. What you just brought up
Not
is a
like celestial
complete
navigation, no.
right. So what you brought up is a complete non sequitur,
No, but it is triangulating.
but it is a complete non sequitur, and it includes premises that can't be proven; they're only assumed.
No,
You,
I mean, The Eratosthenes thing is
Yeah.
one indication, but again, the tilt of the
Eratosthenes,
face of the
you
moon
say
is
no.
another.
What I'm saying is it's a false dichotomy, and you said
It's
no,
really
but
not.
the answer is yes.
The
Just from
seasons,
one,
the star
just
trails.
from
I mean,
one
there's a
book.
whole lot of reasons we know that Earth is round.
No, because
I
that you
wouldn't
know
say
what?
it's
Here's another example of a false
Curvature.
dichotomy. Here's another example of a false dichotomy. Is the Earth a sphere, or is the shape of the Earth a sphere? Or is the shape of the Earth flat? Well, guess what? Flat's not a shape. So that would be another false dichotomy. So
that's
just
just a
like in
misuse
that,
of language.
so just like in that example, this is showing the same thing. You're
It's
not even there's the standard of evidence isn't the same
I'm not going
because
to
of
say that.
excuse me,
Sorry.
because the standard of evidence isn't the same because if the premise is triangulating the position of a celestial body, that's not what you're doing in figure 2b, is it?
That's not what we're trying to do.
Well, there you go. Anyway,
What do you
carry on.
mean? I mean, look, I'm not going to say that you don't know what you're talking about, but I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, well, we'll draw a line from this. We've agreed you can't measure curvature. There was
Did
another
we?
person in here. Yeah, you
Oh,
said you
you
Did we
couldn't.
reached the
really?
end of his logic sequence refuting you, and then you conceded to that conclusion, and you
I
still
did not.
confused. So that's a personal problem.
Okay, I
So
don't know what
we're gonna
reality you guys are
give.
living in anymore. That's
It's
not
okay.
what
It's okay.
happened.
It's okay.
Sorry.
We're
Okay.
gonna give someone else a chance. It's
Yeah,
just
I would love to hear what the rest of the room thinks of what just happened just now.
Penis.
Maybe I am the crazy one. Maybe I just had a stroke.
Penis.
I don't know.
Penis.
very possible. Okay. So
Penis.
someone mute them, please. So old car battery. I think you were wanting to get into the question.
Oh, okay. Hold on, is my mic horrible?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
The voice is
I
I mean Mike is great, sorry.
oh here. I come with one like request. Can you prove two things simultaneously to me in a flat Earth model?
We don't.
Like, like, just any two things in the same time. Every single flat Earth model I've ever seen, like visually, they just kind of contradict each other.
Well,
Like
what
how
you've
the
seen will be
sun.
concepts. Just quickly, what you've seen will be concepts, not models, quote unquote. No one's proposing a physical model to explain reality, right? We can't model unknowns. So things like the distances to the moon, the stars, the sun, the sizes. We can't measure these things, so we don't create models that are hypothetical and say this is what's going on. You might have seen some images, you can't be taking those images as like hard claims of what we're saying. If you want to take something specifically, like, I don't know, a question about something specific with regards to Earth, we could try and answer that. But we're not presenting any models. We're just saying the model we're presented with, the globe, is debunked by direct measurement.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
you know that flat Earth model is used quite often. And now
I've never
I'm not
seen it.
I'm not trying to contradict Wolfgang because what he says is correct. You don't take like a map, for example, and say this is the lay of the land because that would be a reification fallacy. But what I am saying is the celestial sphere model, the one that we use to navigate across the Earth, that's a flat Earth model. Um, NASA has no problem admitting that they use flat Earth models. So it's not that, you can find one big, World of Warcraft map model game land where everything fits perfectly because the globe doesn't have that either. In fact, if you have Scientific American, they'll tell you that they're at odds with different cosmologies and different ideas. So their model, quote unquote, would have the same issues that I guess some the things that you've come across don't really connect, or these I guess concepts that don't really connect. So that's not really independent here with just flat Earth ideas, whatever those may have been that you saw. But the bottom line is, if you go to the stream, um, I'll give you a screenshot if I
There's
could.
no stream.
You got when you click the green bar, you'll see like messages on the right, the
Mhm.
top right, and that's where everyone is posting pictures and things like that.
Yeah.
Give me like 60 seconds trying to look for this
Mm.
image.
Look, I mean, can I say something real quick? Like,
Yeah, go for it.
about what you said, because, yeah, we have our 3D projection, which is what we need to use because, you know, you can't really flatten the globe very well. Yeah, we have like 2D projections, and those projections are flat, but they're always distorted because the Earth is, you know, kind of
Yeah,
a
That's it.
globe.
the 3D projection that you're talking about, that's what I mean. That was created off of a flat plane. Like for example, um, the equator. That is the minimum elevation angle to Polaris. So they've created the celestial sphere and latitudes based off of elevation angles. So what's curved is actually the apparent celestial sphere in the sky. It's not the ground itself.
Oh, I
So
mean, I've seen plenty of projections that are like you can tell, like you could just know they're distorted because of how certain places look. Like
yeah,
Australia in a bunch of 2D projections, it's
Yeah, no one
quite
claims an accurate map.
wider, right?
no, but the
But
2D projections that you're talking about, they're just the maps that we use in the world. We probably use thousands of different kinds of maps. There's no, like, it's a false dichotomy to say here are the globe maps, here are the flat Earth maps. No, they're all taken from the same data point, the same data set, the sky. So there's no this one is correct and this one isn't correct. Everybody knows that there isn't one map that wouldn't have distortions. When you say it's projected onto some 3D imagery, well, and then there are, no distortions, that's again just a reification. It's not real.
it's like as real as it can get, definitely.
No. Think about this. I mean, you're thinking about models and maps. We're talking about the physical surface of Earth, yeah? So they tell us that we live on a ball that necessitates a curving surface, yeah?
Mm.
So that's supposed to be real in physical reality, right? Like a lake that you go to is supposed to bend down and away from you, curving, yeah? You with
Yeah,
me? Okay. So do you think anyone's ever measured that or observed that?
like the curvature.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people have gone up and like looked at it.
No, I mean like on the ground. Is anyone measuring it like point
To be fair, looking isn't measuring, to be fair.
You can't really measure it on the ground because it's so huge.
Yeah, but this
But you
guy,
can measure it like up.
so Drita, but the guys that were just talking just talked about how it's measured on the ground. So do you disagree with them?
Well, probably in a more advanced way. If you're meaning
Well, they
just
use
by like,
sticks and
by like,
shadows. So that doesn't seem very advanced, but they're saying it was measured on the ground.
I'm pretty sure that's already also been done with the lights in what
This
was
is the
it?
thing. This is
It
what
was
we're
in a flat
talking
Earth
about.
thingy.
So over a 10-mile lake from one side to the other, how much drop do you think there will be?
Couldn't tell you that. I can probably like Google it though.
Centimeter?
Creation beer.
Hold on.
I was just wondering what this chat's about. I'm new here. Appreciate it if you just tell me.
Discussing the nature of the Earth. So ball that spins in, or
You're cutting out. I can't understand you.
saying what we're doing here is we're discussing the nature of the Earth.
Okay, good. My entire life, I never felt like the Earth was actually like round. I always felt like something was off, even though in school they taught us that.
So this is what we're discussing.
Yeah, you're really cutting
I'm
out.
sorry, I'm trying to hear you. You're kind of cutting out.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, much better.
Right, okay. Sorry about that. So I was just saying to the guy, what we're doing is we're discussing the nature of reality. You said you don't think it seemed like a ball. You'd be correct. It's not the spinning ball they've told us. That's why we experience a flat horizon and a motionless surface. The luminaries moving overhead, because that's what's happening. We're on a flat, motionless, topographical hills and valleys, but the water is level. Right. And what we're talking about specifically is, according to the globe model, we're told that that level water, like in a lake, is dropping down and away from us at a specific rate due to curvature, because we're on a ball, apparently. But no one can measure it. And when people do go out and try to measure it, they don't measure any curve. We see from one side of that 10-mile lake to the other side of the 10-mile lake, even though they say it should be 50, 60 feet below the curve.
Yeah.
Right. So
Did you ever go to a planetarium when you were younger?
no, I didn't. But similar principle. I mean, they can replicate what we observe in a planetarium, and that's from
Yeah.
central position with everything rotating around you in a room. That's what's happening essentially. Everything's revolving around us. We're in a contained system.
So I got a question for you. So how come when I was in middle school in like my science class, they took us to the planetarium and they showed us like all the planets were just like round and like the Earth is just like this huge sphere. I don't understand why they would show that then.
They believe it, man. But they're going along with what they've been taught as well.
It's crazy. Like they would actually like teach you like false information about reality.
I don't believe
Yeah.
the people working in the planetarium are actually in on it, man. Like they've been taught it since they were kids as well. They've got a job in the planetarium, so they're just carrying on what they believe.
Yeah, they just
A
get their
planet-
information from NASA, right?
This planetarium too, a lot of the globalists will not really understand how a planetarium works. You've got a flat floor, a domed ceiling, perfect reflection of the sky. And then they'll tell you out their next breath that it's impossible to present the domed sky with a flat baseline.
Well, can you see the Southern Cross from the northern hemisphere?
Hold on. Before we get off where we were, I want to go back to Old Car Battery because we were just speaking about the curve of the lake. So, do you understand what I was saying, Old Car Battery, about there supposed to be a curve of water, but people are going out and no one seems to be able to measure that curve of water? Do you understand that?
I'm gonna grab that right now.
Did you say you're going to look into that?
Well, yeah, 10 miles seems like a very small number, but I guess I can roll with it.
Yeah, well, if you go to Google and type in curve calculator, a bunch of calculators will come up and you can just put in your distance, put in your eye height, and you can see what it says based on the globe model as to where the horizon should start, where the obstruction should be. And this is what we say to people, right? Don't just trust what we're telling you. Go and figure it out for yourself. Go and do the observations, and you'll see what we're talking about. Once you know what the globe model predicts, you can go and test it in reality. I'm at 6 feet above the water. The horizon should be 3 miles away. But I can see 10 miles away. That's the kind of thing that we're talking about.
You can see 10 miles away.
Sorry,
That's
where
how
are you
much
claiming to see
distortion.
10 miles away? Where are you claiming specifically to see 10 miles away?
Oh, well, we can get that for you. Just hold tight. One second.
Yeah, I
mean,
want like
I mean,
exact
still, like,
geopositional coordinates.
No problem. We got you. We got you, bro. No worries. Just one second.
You new to the conversation, bro? This is the Black Swan. This is like, I mean, this is coming up here on the daily. You called yourself the Globe Champion earlier.
Absolutely,
Am I
I'm the
familiar with
Globe
this?
champion.
Yeah.
You bet
Well,
your
that's
ass I'm the
sad.
Globe
That's
champion.
bad news for the Globe.
Okay, so where's the coordinates?
Yeah, just
You'd
one
be a
second.
globe liability.
Suppose it's the first time for
Okay,
everything.
hold on. Can we give Old Car Battery a chance just to respond to what I just said?
Yes, my bad.
yeah,
Go
well,
ahead.
I mean, do you mean like, oh, it's supposed to be 3 miles away? But do you mean that before you can notice some kind of distortion? Or do you just
No,
mean like
where the
the
horizon would
cutoff
be.
point is 3 miles?
Yeah,
Which
the cutoff point, the horizon. The one that they say boats are supposed to
horizon
go.
isn't really the
And that's
cutoff point.
assuming by the way that the target has no altitude too, by the way. The thing that you're
Yeah,
looking at, if
like
it protrudes in the air
For 6 foot,
at any
that's
amount.
about 3 miles. For 6 foot, that's about 3 miles. For 1 foot, it would be about 1.2
Yes.
miles.
yes,
That's what I
3
said.
miles. Like,
Yes, assuming
what do you mean by that?
assuming that the
Oh,
target
so
assuming
quiet,
that the
Neon.
target that you're
Quiet. We're already
locating.
speaking to someone. We're already speaking to someone. So Old Car Battery. What I mean is, if you go into Google, you got Google open.
I can open it.
Okay, open Google and type in distance to horizon calculator,
Mm-hmm.
and then just click on the first one, or whatever.
Yeah.
Now put your observer height at 6 feet, maybe 5 feet. I'm just gonna guess you're about 5 feet. Maybe that's wrong.
Like 5'4", whatever. Okay, 5 feet.
There you go, got you. So put your observer height at 5 foot.
Distance to horizon. 4.407 kilometers, or is it 4,000 kilometers? I don't think so.
No, that's 4 kilometers. Okay.
Mhm.
So this is what the globe model says. If you go to the lake, that's where the horizon should be. Yeah. So that's the line where the sky appears to meet the water. Yeah.
Mhm.
So if you went out there that day and there's a buoy or a boat at say 8 miles or 10 miles, and you can see the horizon beyond that boat, then that calculator's wrong, isn't it?
Not really.
Well, how not if the horizon isn't where the calculator says it should be?
So you mean like seeing a boat like while still in the water? Like, I mean,
No, let's say you see the horizon at 10 miles, not the 2-3 miles that you just said.
well then, I mean, it depends what you mean by horizon. Then I don't know.
So the
It
horizon
also
is the
depends on how
apparent.
high the target is.
Well,
This
so the
distance to
horizon
horizon
is the
calculator.
we've so the horizon is the apparent line between the water and the sky. Yeah?
Right, but this is
I'm not sure
assuming
No,
that
no,
the
not
target.
you, Neon. Talking to Old Car Battery.
Yeah, but like, what does that mean?
So that's the bit, you know, when they say boats go over the horizon. You've heard that.
Yeah.
So they say the boat goes over the horizon, which is a curve, and so you start to see the bottom disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they're saying that horizon, that line, is the curve of the Earth that you can no longer see beyond. Yeah?
You can no longer see. I mean, you can
It's gone over the
see.
curve.
It's just a little bit distorted.
Well, doesn't the ship sink bottom first?
Yeah, very, very, very slowly.
Because it's going around the curve.
Yeah.
So we see that as the horizon.
Mm.
Yeah?
Mhm.
Okay. So this is what they're saying the horizon is. And they just said it's at 4 kilometers for you standing at the water. Yeah?
Mhm.
So what happens if you go out there and you see the horizon at 13 kilometers? The calculator's wrong. Yeah?
If I see like the water.
Yeah, you see the horizon, the water, carry all the way on up to 13 kilometers, not the 4.
Mhm.
So that means the calculator's wrong.
It could be something with the light. I mean, there's a lot of other assumptions you can make before assuming it's not a globe.
Well, we were just saying, but if it is a globe, the horizon's got to be at 4 kilometers, according to the model numbers. That's the limit of the sphere. that you can
Not
see.
at all times, no. That number varies based on a whole like assortment of details.
Yeah,
So
that's
we
what we've
don't.
been
So we
saying.
don't have a
She's making her
geometric
point for
horizon.
us.
We have an average.
So
An
you don't have a
average.
geometric horizon
Yeah.
that you can calculate. So if you're at 6 feet, then how far away should the horizon be?
It again. I just said it's dependent on like a few
Well,
variables.
okay, give us a range. Could it be from 2
Sure.
miles to 3 miles, 4 miles, 5 miles? What is it?
Sure. I can go look at it real quick. It's gonna take a sec.
Yeah, cool.
That man really said an average.
You boys got those black swans loaded?
Word around town is you guys are blocking people from speaking about the flat earth.
No, we're just asking for the evidence of the globe earth, and they're kind of blocking themselves.
What would that look like being blocked from talking about flat Earth?
Blocking from the Flat Earth Society.
You said that there was an experiment that we used with a laser, right? That we used
Probed
to
stuff
to,
from
to look
Bumble.
at how the Earth was actually flat or a plane, right? Or not curved, basically.
Do you
Is that
still
correct?
remember all of that? Like that was yesterday, bro.
No, it was about an hour ago.
Don't worry, it happens
Oh,
all the time.
Same guy, not the same guy, man. But I was talking about that
Not
yesterday.
not you. The Scottish guy.
That they use lasers. I thought there was supposed to be some.
Cyclone.
Yeah.
You said there was an experiment where lasers were used that
Well, people have
demonstrate.
done many laser tests testing
Yeah,
for
can
convexity.
you give me an
of the
example?
surface, yeah. Yeah, are you on the 24/7 Flat Earth Discord?
No, I'm not.
Okay, well join that, and we've got a whole channel full of them. It's under the channel L for laser tests.
Did you see why it's the case that a laser test might be problematic? An uncontrolled laser test?
What do you mean, an uncontrolled laser test? Who's controlling the laser test?
So you have to control for different variables, right? You know
Such
about
as?
controls, right?
Yep. What you like? What?
So do you think? Well, let me ask you a question. What do you think might interfere with the laser test being accurate?
Not
What
a
do you
geometric
think?
horizon.
You just tell me what you think is interfering with it.
The curvature, bro.
So,
but they figured out that the curvature is not.
So
It's not-
atmospheric phenomena, right, can obviously interfere with light, right? Refraction.
What kind of refraction could you
They shoot
define?
it over the water, and they shot it down the longest, flattest area, and it went for a very long distance, and there's no curvature.
Nope.
Correct. But we can let this guy define refraction if he wants.
Okay.
Well, he's got to look it up real quick. Give him a second.
Are you talking about rainbows?
What was the
Rainbow.
question? Sorry.
Well, you just said refraction, so I asked could you define what you mean. And your source for that.
1 second, I'll show you the definition.
So you're using terms that you couldn't define.
Okay, I'm gonna post one in text chat. Here you go.
While he's doing that, Alpha Mega, why are flat earthers getting banned from the Canada channel, even though they've never been to the Canada channel?
How come what is being banned from the Canada channel? What did you say? Followers?
Flat earthers. Why are flat earthers being banned from the Canada channel, even though they've never been to the Canada channel?
What's the Canada
Flat
channel?
earthers weren't getting banned, but there was been some mods that have been in there, and they're biased, and I don't know. They said something like I remember there was Americans that got kicked out of the Canadian channel because they weren't Canadian, and I don't tolerate that shit because I'm a mod there, and I found it out, and there's a lot of people that can't go back in the room is because their name has been entered into the get the fuck out of here list, and so they can't go back in there. So for some reason they don't see it pop up when they
Yeah,
joined.
they've never been to the channel.
I thought you Canadians were supposed to be chill, bro. Hmm?
We are, and we most definitely are.
Yeah.
We're not drunk and high.
Yeah, I'm
So
just trolling, bro. You seem cool.
yeah, it was interesting how some Canadian dude will come to this channel, get upset by Flat Earth, and then ban Flat Earthers from the Canadian channel, and then come back here after they've done that, and then say it's Flat Earthers who are.
Did you
using
see the
people.
post, Cyclone? It's just posted in chat.
Well, which mod was it that did that? Because the owner of that room, I know him, and we talk, and he doesn't understand why, like he doesn't get it, and I've told him, and now he understands how it works, but he wasn't sure like you could just kick people out. But if you submit a thing, and now we're going to find out which mod it was that was submitting people's names to keep them from coming in that room.
No one's gonna come to your room anyway. The funny thing is, I think the part where you've got these people who have a Canadian room who are upset that Flat Earthers were red miking them or turning their mic off.
Cyclone.
And to show you how they're upset by this is to ban you, just random Flat Earthers.
I also posted an article where a physicist talks about the experiments that you're referring to and why it's an issue.
Back, here's the video. They're not going to be like, all right, that's it, go home, he's done.
Yeah, everyone,
Let's go.
case dismissed. Yeah, it doesn't work.
Case
quite
dismissed, he's
like
going to jail. They're going to look into it. They're going to verify what is happening here. Okay, where were you at that date and time?
Yes, this is.
Do
to
you
the
have an alibi?
defendant that we're no longer talking about the video now.
We're trying to verify the video. We're trying to prove it.
No, are we trying to prove the video or trying to
Well,
demonstrate? that
you have to
video
have the
should
same
be-
standard though. Like, say if I was a Bigfoot advocate and I was like, well, here's the video. Like, you don't just stop at the video though. You have to move forward to see if the video is can be validated. Is that actually the client in question in the video, etc. It's not just automatically true.
Sure.
I think that's
And-
kind of what you're missing here.
No. What I'm talking about is the standard. So someone sees a video and they say, okay, that's a video of something walking along in a wood, but it doesn't demonstrate to my satisfaction that it's actually Bigfoot.
There you go. So at least now you can understand that just because, well, look, there's a video, that you don't just stop with that, which seems like kind of what you're, seems like a little bit what you're offering.
I don't think we've understood each other.
I mean, I'll give you a chance to clarify.
No.
I'm saying the videos that you're offering are like the Bigfoot videos, and you would have some questions if I presented that type of video. Well, that's. I mean, to be fair, that's kind of what our position is. So it's not that it's just
so for
fake.
example, in this video,
It's that you wouldn't accept the Bigfoot video either.
well, I would actually, depending on
Would?
what I saw in that video.
Why would you
Thus far,
accept that?
All I've seen are like grainy, nondescript videos. That's not what I see from people in the ISS.
So it's about quality of video?
That's part of it.
Okay.
So in this video that I just posted, right? The contestations that I've often heard are that they do this in that plane that dips up and down and gives you
Oh, the
weightlessness.
G-plane.
Right. So my understanding is that that only lasts for like a minute or so. And between cuts, there are sections of this video that are longer than that.
Okay.
I've
Can I
heard
ask you a
wires
question?
being used. I don't see any way that wires are possible in some of the ways that these people go through some of these sections. Other things
you know
I've
what's-
heard green screens.
Do you know
That
what's funny
doesn't seem
about
to be
that
a
video?
case. Sorry?
You know what's funny about that video? They respond saying that this is it. Do you know in a plane when you're I forgot what it's called, but anyway, you like going down a certain speed and you start to like float because of the like some forces acting upon you. But they ignore the fact that the chain's floating around. There is no acts of showing like wires being attached to the clothing, especially when going into different sections.
That's what
That wouldn't be needed on the G-plane if that's what was happening, but that's not. No one here has said that. But to be fair, like
Not
when you
you
watch
guys, but
movies
what's in
like,
this room.
okay, well, I mean, at least go off of what we're saying, not some random person that you might not even know on the internet. But to be fair, like when you watch a movie like Interstellar or Gravity, I mean, how are those? It's not like those are filmed in real time in the place that you're claiming exists, right? So if they can do that, well, why is that not possible?
It is possible.
Why is that? Okay, well, that's fair. That's not what you were saying. You were like talking about wires and green screen. I'm just saying that if they can do that for the movies, why is that not possible for this?
Well, one of the things that makes that particular thing more difficult is that many of these are live streams. There's a lag, of
I mean,
course.
you
but
can
they're
you
talking
can
back and
put
forth.
live on anything, my boy. That's not just because
Even if
it
it is
says
more
live.
difficult, they pulled it off.
Who pulled it off?
Well, yeah, but you're
I mean,
see, do you guys really? I mean, yeah. Well, never mind. The bottom line
live
is
stream.
needs to be proven.
Sorry.
Have they ever proved it's a live
Yeah.
stream? Like, you know, with
Needs to be proven.
synchronizations
If you have
of
a
real
video
world.
showing the person committing the crime actually has to show up. The one from the video, that person has to exist and be existing in the custody of the. Like, let's stop playing around. Like,
Sorry, are you saying the lady doesn't
Yeah,
exist?
when it comes to live streams, it's piss easy to actually just post something as well. Like you see it on TikTok all the time, especially with this whole AI and pretending to do shit kind of thing. Like a lot of them are just pre-recorded and reposted.
Yeah,
all
as
the
in
people
they
are there
can-
like, I'm gonna keep going until I hit 1,000 or blah blah blah. Like I'm almost there. Keep liking. Some of those are pre-recording, just repo. They're up as lives, but they're not because they're responding to things that are happening in chat that aren't actually happening. Those ones are really obvious. But
Right.
these ones, they don't even have to respond to chat. They just have to post something and say it's live.
Yeah, as in
Well,
you can
there are
stream
some
stuff
where
as
they-
live, even if it's not. That's what I'm saying. Has there ever been a synchronization with the real world in the live stream?
I believe so.
Probably
I
has.
mean,
So far, Manufact Totem is determined to mention a number of caveats to undermine the appeal to the footage, which patently indicates video editing chicanery.
Sorry, what do you mean patently indicates?
So just a few clips that Cyclone has posted in the past few minutes, right? There's no justification for those things to be occurring if it's just
No
raw footage
justification?
streamed live.
None?
Okay, so if there is a justification, then say one.
I mean, I haven't looked into these, but I wouldn't be so quick to say that there's no justification. That
Well,
to me
I am,
is
so
okay, that to me shows a bit of a bias.
everyone has a bias. So next point.
Okay. So long as we're clear. International Space Station astronauts speak with United Kingdom students, space to ground Chicago students. I've heard of these things. I haven't watched any of them, but there are instances where they're speaking to people back on Earth, allegedly. So to answer that question, yes, that has been at least claimed. And
So I mean, we're hearing a whole bunch of words from you, but no succinct and cogent logic sequence to actually support your critique, your
You did hear
counterpoint
that.
that the appeals to these various points in the video is indicative of video chicanery.
I mean, I'd have to look into these. I'm happy to do that, but
Okay, so you have to look into
I
them,
can off
which
the top of
patently
my
indicates
head,
to us
I
that you don't know, but you're sitting here
No,
incessantly giving us
I've
counterpoints as though
I've
you do
seen a
know.
couple. No, hold on. I've seen this one with a guy who like clips out. Where's the other one with the guy? It was posted way up here, I think. Someone doing a somersault. Fuck, it's gone. I've seen those two, which were given reasonable explanations. I haven't seen
Which were?
Well, this one, the guy clipping out with a red arrow. It's possible that that's just lag, for example. That wouldn't be completely unheard of.
What do you mean?
I've never seen lag behave like that.
That is not lag.
Yeah, I would also agree it's not like.
If it was lag, it would be a stuttering in the motion of him. It's a smooth, continuous motion. That's what lag is.
It would just like clip out of it.
He wouldn't
He
just
fades away.
phase to nothing.
He turned into Casper, the friendly.
And the shadow.
In a
There's a
smooth,
shadow
I mean-
watching
I
his
can't lie,
motion.
that's a hilarious video. I don't know what bro is doing, but he literally just phased out of fucking existence.
He was just asked for his best glow proof.
Hold
Any
on.
tips?
Nice
Hey,
one. Nice
no,
one.
I
get
mean, it
all
would
the
make
way
more
fucked.
sense for
That's
you.
not what I was asked. All right. So
It
let's
would
cool
make more
down.
sense for you to be like, "Oh, you guys actually faked that. You made that." That would make more sense than
Yeah,
saying
yeah. I
he
mean
lagged.
that could be edited, but I mean,
And it
Yeah,
could be. I mean, yeah.
yeah.
But all I'm saying is,
Just
off the top of my
footage
head, I'm not going to immediately assume that it's fake. That's all. It might be.
Okay,
If
so
you can
that's
demonstrate
what
that
you
it's fake, I'm
believe.
happy
Oh,
to.
but like you also
That's
It's not
should
what I
immediately
believe.
assume-
That's what I'm
That's
saying.
what you
I'm happy
believe.
to accept if someone can demonstrate something. I'm happy to accept
Okay.
it. What I'm
Well,
saying
based
is
on
it has
these,
not been done to my
based on
satisfaction.
these,
I
do you
got
accept
enough with
that we
this.
don't? Do you accept that we don't accept that? Do you understand why we don't?
I understand that you don't accept it. The thing is, you seem a bit.
Like we're not concluding on what you do or do not believe. We're concluding on what is the truth. That's not what that's what we're concluding on. So we're not
Yeah,
going to
you
conclude
seem
on,
to
well,
be
I
doing
don't
it a little
believe it.
blindly.
I mean that one's interesting. Like someone just posted where the video glitches.
Like you can clearly hear us emphasizing the last word is going to be on what is the specific objective true premise in a logically sequitur argument. Not, well, I don't believe. Well, I not off the top of my head, blah blah blah. No, it's not what we're going to end on.
Right, but
Well,
what you're
I would
saying
like
is
to
it's
make
patently, and there's no possible explanation. That to me seems a little dogmatic, is all.
No, I don't think that's what people are saying. But I would just say,
What-
based on what you
exactly
said
what
in
he
terms
said.
of, well, you were like, well, I wouldn't just automatically assume it's fake. Well, in that same light, you shouldn't just automatically assume it's real either,
That's
right?
fine, but no one has been able to demonstrate anything about that.
No, we have demonstrated it. You just
No, you've given
invincibly
some evidence to that fact, but so far,
right. You're just not persuaded. That's all you're talking about. Enough.
Exactly. That's fine.
So enough. End. You're just
Okay,
being
but that's not.
narcissistic. You just want to
That's the first
emphasize
time
that
you've
you don't
actually
believe.
said that, though.
Stop.
Thus far, all you've been saying
It's
is that
annoying
I'm
now.
the dogmatic
Yo,
one.
can this guy stop bitching out? Like, bro, calm down. Like, yeah, it obviously
I
it's
don't need you
probably
to tell me to calm down. We're not going to end on him obviously trying to dominate the
yeah, you're
VC,
just bitching out.
emphasizing over and over again,
Dude, I'm trying
repeatedly,
to get the
that he
fuck out of
doesn't
here. It's
believe.
1:30 in the morning. I'm trying to end this
Then
shit.
leave. Like we've concluded 4 times now. Go.
Yeah,
It's hard to have a conversation with someone who can't grasp the concept of burden of proof when you make a
Yeah.
claim.
That's a tough one.
You can't have a conversation if you don't understand that basic
Just
thing.
incessantly repeating over and over again. Well, I'm not persuaded. Well, I'm not persuaded. So what?
You do realize that in terms of burden of proof, which is on the person making the claim, and additionally, when you are making like subservient claims that are providing alternate excuses, is also making positive claims.
Thank you.
Who are you talking to?
Like, for example, to the girl who's just speaking. Like, for example, if I say, well, you produce a video footage of you kicking a football, and then I make the claim, okay, well, this is like CGI, you're actually sitting down in the chair, and it's also making a positive alternative claim.
So how would you go about proving that?
But how do I go? Well, this in regards if I have like another camera, for example, or I can show that this is manipulated using CGI or etc. Right?
How would you show that?
How would I show that? Like when we look at like the differences between like raw footage and like CGI footage, we can like see like stipulations that happen when it comes to framing, transitional phases. When
So exactly like what we're doing in the text chat right now, which is showing you loads of different gifs of things that are happening.
Yeah, no one disagrees that this can be like evidential reasoning to suggest something.
Yes.
But with you
So-
also, do you want to finish?
Sorry, go on.
Yeah. So
No,
like,
go.
and then we propose like opposite like evidence that this is not CGI or this is not someone in a zero gravity plane, and then this is like completely ignored.
You didn't provide any evidence.
Oh my God, can we please get over this truism that people are not believing one another's arguments? This is where I'm getting annoyed. Enough.
Oh, well, then leave.
No, stop. Stop
you
repeating
keep
the truism that people
all the
don't
time.
believe one another's arguments. That's not the focus. The focus is give the argument.
Right, we already wait. When we were suggesting, someone just denied that this for example, the zero gravity plane. Like someone posted a video of that woman traveling through the space station, right? And so we'll ask for like alternative theories, and the only alternative theory I've heard so far is, well, this might be a zero gravity plane. Okay, what is the evidence that suggests so? When we look at the correspondence to a zero gravity plane, it's much more inconsistent and incomparable because of the amount of motion that is harder to control in a state of a zero gravity plane compared to suggested by a space station.
Let me jump in
Especially-
here real quick.
Yeah.
Let me jump in real quick, guys. You're forgetting one thing. That space station is in a second law of thermodynamics violation. So it cannot
Right.
be it cannot be where they say that it is. So in the
That's a
first
different
instance,
topic.
you have to the premise of this is that it cannot be where they say it is. Not that it doesn't exist like the way they're saying, is that it can't be in the area where they say it is at. You understand?
I mean,
That's the point.
that's a very fair point in the sense of if we're going to talk about that, you've got to understand how it is literally impossible for that to happen in the first place. We're kind of indulging and talking about this place that they are and doing this thing with these photos. The point is, it literally breaks laws of physics and how you can actually be in that place and do that in the first place.
Yeah, can you?
We're neglecting the glaring fact
Timbo,
that
you're hot
there's a
making.
difference. We're
Yeah.
neglecting the glaring fact that there's a difference between the various cosmological positions that this or that supposed photo took place in. It is far more plausible and likely and credible to say that I took footage of me kicking a football on the local football field as opposed to me saying that I have footage of me flying around in a cosmic vacuum in a humongous tin can several 100,000 feet above the surface of the earth.
Sure, if you make those comparisons, yeah, obviously.
I mean, those are the
Right,
comparisons that we
so-
were talking about. You mentioned about
I made a
hypothetically me kicking a ball
Yeah, kicking a
compared
ball.
to what I'm claiming about. Well, not I'm claiming, but what I am talking about, which are these videos.
No, I made a comparison, an analogy of how we would determine evidence comparison to sitting in a chair and kicking a football. This is relative, right? In terms of like extreme claims such as like someone's in space, which you would determine to be extreme, right?
Oh yeah.
Right, so the point is made. Like, you guys are in this habit of like unnecessarily repeating what was already clearly explained rather than just moving forward. So we understand what was just said. So after that said, that's a factor in the argument, right? One is far more plausible than the other. So it's far more credible and plausible to doubt the veracity and authenticity of footage A as opposed to footage B. That's the point.
Yeah. So the reason why I don't agree with this is based on even I'm agreeing with no, I agree with like plausibility arguments. Then we also have to look at the suggesting evidence that would prove like credibility of said claim that is extreme, such as like when we look at like governmental organizations, the multitude factors of how many institutions are working independently and exteriorly incompatible with like other organizations, like for example like Russia and America. I'm not saying that they can never like correspond and act together, however in many cases they act in a conflict of interest.
It would be a global conspiracy, yeah.
Yeah, but I think we're losing grasp as to reality at the moment because we're already just not looking at the fact that that tin can cannot be in the place that they say that it is in. And so we're just glancing over that real quick, whistling past that, going right into what USSR or whatever, like you guys are bringing up. Why do we need to talk about that? That's the fact that it can be in the place that they say it is. You know what I mean?
I didn't
You know,
gloss
we're neglecting the facts that are associated with this given body of footage. You have this given body of footage that is supposedly taken several 100,000 feet above the surface of the earth in the cosmic vacuum, more or less, and that this area is only been visited by a very select few number of persons, as opposed to the billions of persons throughout human history that have been on the earth or in the seas.
Well, that's it's
would that
crazy.
make sense?
It's crazy because again, that just drags us back into the well. Here's why I believe it. No, what Miggy said was that this is an area that cannot exist. Now, in a reasonable conversation of true or false, I would expect you to push back and go, "What the hell does that mean?"
Well, yeah, that's what I was saying. Is what's your main reason for that? Who was saying that?
Because you can't have gas pressure without a container. We are breathing gas pressure, and it's uncontained from the vacuum of space. According to the second law of thermodynamics, the gas should fill the vacuum of space.
I thought you were saying about the ISS being in the sky.
Yeah, so can I like ask some questions about because I'm not great at physics, I don't know much about it, so I would have to like ask some questions to have a greater understanding. And like suggestions, they might be completely stupid suggestions. It's fine because I've listened to like debates between people. So, like for example, like when it comes to gravity and rotations of the Earth, would you not say that does gas have like a density to hold relation to the Earth's orbit?
Sorry.
So
Which
that you'd-
direction is gravity? When I drop a rock, which way does the rock go? It goes downward, right?
From my perspective, down, yeah.
Yeah. So when I uncontain gas, say I've got it in a tire, and I release the gas from the tire, which direction does the gas go? The gas goes in all directions, doesn't it? Up,
sure.
down, left, right. So, observably, even if I was to give you gravity in this instance, it's not acting on gas.
Right, so like this might be a stupid suggestion, but in terms of releasing gas, would you say there's an equal distribution around a box, for example? Or like if we release gas into the air, would we constantly see this gas rising until outer space, until the edge of outer space, or would we normally see it around like the
They
ground?
would find their equilibrium.
Oh, you would say it's an equal distribution, right?
No.
Yeah, they would find their equilibrium. Well, okay,
so-
Elijah, if you want to go against it.
No, because if it also has to do with the input of energy. Secondly, in a container, like we have examples of containers where the pressure isn't evenly distributed, so you have a gas pressure gradient, which again requires containment. Continue.
Yeah, so like I would say that when it comes to like this premise of containment, I like this is just like a deduction, induction. It might be wrong, but like in terms of like if we propose gravity, and that there is a density to gas, and someone once said there is no equilibrium, there is no equal distribution because of the amount of energy input that cause. I didn't hear the rest, unfortunately. If you want to go over that again, that's fine. But I was going to say that in terms of density, would that create pressure around material objects?
That's slightly different pressure. That would be a dynamic pressure, like when wind blows against a wall, for example. What we're talking about is pressure itself. To achieve pressure, you must have a container. Interesting enough, that's why it's called pressure, P-R-E-S-S, press. It needs to press upon something. So, for example, the tyre that we spoke about earlier, the consequence of containing gas within that tyre is the gas is under pressure. You put gas into a balloon, the consequence of you putting it into that volume that is contained is the gas is under pressure. Remove the container and the gas is free to disperse in any and all directions, which it does. So if up there is a space vacuum, that will be a volume for the gas freely to fill. Do you understand? This is the second law of thermodynamics.
Yeah. So I think the argument against it is gravity.
Right, okay, so as I pointed out earlier, gravity is just a vector downwards when you drop a rock, but gas observably travels in all directions. So observably isn't affected by the gravity that I'm giving you just for this argument. Which gravity are you talking about, and do you have a scientific experiment that proves it?
No, I was just saying what the response was. Sorry.
Yeah, I think the suggestion is like when it comes to a rock is much more denser, so it would fall to the ground, while gas is less dense, so it's going to float around. But that's why I questioned, okay, in terms of floating, would it start floating until the rims of the supposed containment field, or whatever you want to call it? Like, what would happen to this gas? Would it go straight up? I'm pretty sure if I release like visible gas, I can see it stays within the general vicinity for a long period of time.
Where?
Yeah, until entropy takes effect, and then 2 weeks later it's dispersed into the natural environment. So that's entropy now.
Sorry.
You can't see gas. What are you talking
No,
about?
there is gas. There are some visible forms of gas. So that's why I said that.
What gas are you talking about that you saw that stayed in the same place?
No, I didn't say it stayed in the same. But I said the general.
That is what you said.
Yeah.
But physical as opposed to what?
What do you mean? Physical.
You said
What?
you said there's some gas that's physical as opposed to what?
No, I said visible forms of gas.
Like
visible, such as.
I'll get an example. One second.
So you're just saying it. You're not even basing it off of
No,
something
because
that you're
I
familiar
generally
with?
I for example, I forgot like the name of zero gravity when it comes to a plane. Like I forget names and terms very often, so I have to go.
So, my friend, I do apologise. Do you know what a vacuum chamber is?
Yeah, yeah. With this, like for example, how do I best describe this? They're
Container ain't got the
removing
gas.
like all forms of like wind pressures and like all forms of other forces.
A container with very little gas in, right? A vacuum
Right.
chamber, a
Okay.
container without gas.
Yeah.
Right. So, for example, I've got a 100-foot tall vacuum chamber, 50 feet above the surface of the Earth. I impart gas into that vacuum chamber. Question is, which way does gas go? Gas
Up
travels in all directions, right?
and around. Yeah.
Yeah. So we do this on the Earth, vacuum chamber on the Earth. We've given you all the gravity, quote unquote, of the Earth, and the gas is still freely and randomly moving in all directions until it collides with either another gas molecule or the walls of the container. Remove the container, the gas is now free to move into the next contained environment. If you do not have a physical barrier for the gas to press upon, one, you will not achieve any pressure, and two, the gas will go away.
To give the example of visible gas, not all gas are invisible. Some are very bright colored, like nitrogen dioxide is brownish.
Wonderful. That's brilliant, but you understand my point.
Yeah.
Gas moves in all directions, is only stopped by the physical containment that is contained within, like the tire or the balloon or the chamber. Remove the physical boundaries and the gas is free to move in all directions. The Earth is declared to be an open system. You know the difference between an open system and a closed system and an isolated system, right? So if it's an open system, that's free matter transfer. Rockets to the moon, for example, right? That means that gas, which is matter, is free to disperse into the lower pressure environment, the vacuum of space. The Earth is declared to be an open system. Therefore, the gas should fill the space.
Okay.
So that's why we don't need to talk about the International Space Station being in the vacuum of space, because the vacuum of space, according to laws of physics, can't exist unless there's a physical boundary between our gas pressure, so we achieve pressure, and the gas doesn't disperse into that space. This is a second law of thermodynamics violation, as in it can't exist.
Thank you for tying that back in there, Jedi. Appreciate you, bro.
Love you too, my friend.
The doctrine supposes that all matter, including gas, is in a vacuum.
Now, can I ask you a question? You obviously asked us about that, and we kind of spoke about gas and stuff, and then you said gravity. Can I ask you what's something that I can go, because the girl in the chat's not replying to me. Can I ask you what I can go do right now to prove I'm living on a ball? Is there anything? No? What's his name? Jesus? Was that the guy we were talking to?
Oh right, sorry. Yeah. What?
Well, can you tell me something that I can go do right now to prove that we're living on a ball?
To go that you're proving living on the ball. I would. Well, this is just a suggestion. So, like, if you go to a large tower, right, and you get a telescope, would you not suggest that if I look further enough for an object moving over the horizon, would you say that if this is a completely flat field, or like water, or whatever, and the ocean, in this tower, would you suggest that we would still continuously see the physical object, or would you say there's like some atmospheric like distortion that would prevent this?
Wait, are you asking me to
Yeah,
tell
so,
you
so
when I
I
asked
thought she
you.
was asking
I'm
you,
suggesting
Jesus
an
Black.
experiment.
Thought she was
Yeah, I
asking.
was asking you what I can
Yeah,
go do to prove that we're living
I'm
on a ball.
suggesting no. I'm suggesting the experiment, and then I'm stating that I'm questioning. Well, in this experiment, do you suggest otherwise would happen?
So
My
I'm
claim it would disappear over the horizon, right? Because I
Oh,
think it's
sorry. Do you think the horizon's physical?
Do I think the horizon is physical?
Yeah, as in buildings to hide beyond.
Sorry.
As in for boats and buildings to hide beyond.
I guess, but I might be using the term horizon wrong if it's not.
Well, if you're going to turn around and say to Bambi, if I go up to the top of a building and I can or can't see something, and we would suggest that would be another reason, I'm going to have to ask you, what do you think would be causing the obstruction of that boat or building in the distance? Would that be the physical curvature of the Earth?
I would suppose so.
Right. So you might have a misunderstanding of what the horizon is. If the horizon was indeed physical, then according to the globe Earth model, it should be 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. So for a 1 foot observer, the square root of 1 is 1. 1 times 1.2 is 1.2. So therefore, for a 1 foot observer, the physical geometric horizon should be at 1.2 miles away. Now, we can clearly demonstrate that the horizon is an optical phenomena. Depending on the atmospheric conditions of the day and the technology that you use, the horizon will appear to move. Some days it will appear close, and other days it will appear to be further away. If you keep your observer altitude the same, demonstrating the horizon is not physical obstruction in the first instance.
Well, so the like description, that contention I would have with that, not initially mathematical contention, would be that yes, I agree. That's why I stated it before when it comes to atmospheric distortion, and also like how far you can see with your eyes, which I didn't suggest, but I would have said. Yeah, that it would be most of it would be an illusion. But I would suggest that there will be a physical standpoint, but I don't know the maths to it, so I can't make a valid contention to the entire argument.
That's fine. All you got to do is Google Earth Curve Calculator. You find a 1.225 in the Earth Curve Calculator. The Earth Curve Calculator tells you what you should and shouldn't see depending on the curvature of the Earth. So you can go and check that. It's all based on the radius value of 3,959 miles. So this is the physical obstruction that should be blocking our view for boats that go out to sea or buildings or islands at distance. We can clearly demonstrate with observations that the horizon moves around. So it is not the physical obstruction that you thought it was.
Do you think? So this is a question before the other guy starts. Sorry. Do you think in perfect conditions, or like there's no atmospheric distortion whatsoever in a hypothetical that doesn't exist, and
Why do you ask any questions, man? You don't even understand what the claim is yet.
Okay, great. So I'm gonna get that. Would you say?
I know it was a little bit rude, but we were just watching a video earlier, where CFI investigators made the claim that there was going to be a boat with stripes on it, that the stripes were going to disappear bottom up due to the horizon, which would be 1.22 miles because they put a camera 1 foot above sea level. Now, they're not the only ones that make that claim. Before 2020, everyone made that claim. So that's the thing. There's a claim on the table. We would like others to investigate what the claim is and how it was tested to be true or false. But every time we try to do that, there are these other weird questions that are like, well, do you think it? I mean, can they actually validate their claims or not? They say the horizon is geometric. It's a tangent to a tangent point. That's 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That gives you the distance to that tangent point being the geometric horizon. Is everything that I just said falsifiable or not?
I wouldn't know.
Well, how about you investigate? Like, I mean, you're asking all these questions. Seems like something that would be important, doesn't it?
No. So the reason why I asked these questions, like I stated, was just like so I can have like some understanding of like the claims being made. So like I already know the general examples of flat earth arguments, but it's interesting to hear like these specific like
I'd
mathematical
challenge that
questions.
probably.
And that's
You
why I
just
want
said
to
it's
say
not important. You just said
it's
it's
not
not
important.
important.
Yeah, it's not important enough for me to investigate and do all the research and the mathematical equations. Yeah.
That's the
So it's not
argument.
important to
So
you.
what?
You're just not interested.
Yes.
Okay,
What's
you should have
What's
just said that.
important?
Because you said it's not important, even though
No,
that's
yeah,
the heart of the matter concerning the cosmic paradigm.
Yeah, so I was talking, when I say not important, so I just mean in general interests of mine.
Could we let
So
Dan
obviously
You're
we're
not
just
interested in the heart of the matter concerning this cosmological controversy. You're just interested in these ancillary issues that are actually less important.
Wait, my determination of importance, like your criteria is obviously different from mine. Like I would determine my curiosity and like relative matters to like what I'm thinking of now as more important than your general curiosity about, well, let's contend with these mathematical like problems.
Yeah, your
Not a
priorities are perverted.
problem.
Fed up.
It's a
Yeah, that's
measurement.
up to you to determine. So anyway.
It's a measurement problem because the Earth is supposedly a geometric shape of a certain dimension. Yeah, you're gonna have to do some math to calculate the distance of said thing, but it's supposedly based on some hard and fast measurements. Like again, these are the things that are in question to us. The actual measurement or lack thereof of convexity of the surface. That's what matters to us. It's the only reason that we're flat earthers, not because NASA's weird, not because religion, not because any of this other stuff. It's literally about the actual convexity of the surface of the floor or not.
Yeah, that's fine. Once again, like my question was just to gain a perspective of flat earthers' understanding of the world. So,
You
like,
are that's what's disrespectful. You're asking questions to gain our perspective. I just told you my perspective. Flat
how is that
earthers,
respectful?
they're in other perspective.
You do realize that there are like additional like formats to like when it comes to your understanding of flat Earth. Like it's
You're
not
sitting
just
here
like
talking to us as though you're interested in our position, but you're not interested in the most important issue that is the heart of the cosmological controversy. We're supposed to believe you?
This
That's
is what I'm
credible?
saying. This
of
is
course, because your entire criteria what determines importance is entirely different from mine, and your contention was this it's distorted. That's not all right.
Sir,
It doesn't matter
But
if you
not
disagree with
distorted,
my.
perverted.
Okay,
sir,
cool.
and sir, I asked a question
What?
because you said, and I'm not asking you by the way, but because you said you're just trying to ask questions to get a general understanding of our perspective. I asked flat earthers if what I said is our only perspective. And you didn't wait for an answer. So how could you be genuine?
Wait, because like when like I'm in a like contention with somebody, sometimes I speak over and I don't listen to certain parts of the conversation. So like this is generally like intrusive mistake.
You could just voluntarily choose to focus on what he said.
You
could
do
do that.
realize I feel like you're being like like kind of disingenuous about this conversation.
No, I feel like you're being
And
disingenuous about this conversation. I get sick and tired of the people likes of you speaking with that small, low, cordial tone of voice, but then the substance of what you're saying is obviously indicative that you're not really critically considerate about what we're saying. You literally are sitting here telling us right now that you're not interested, that it doesn't interest you about the heart of the cosmological controversy that is the surface of the earth convex or not? But you supposedly are interested about all these other questions, about all these other aspects of cosmology.
Right, it's the crux of the issue, sir. It's the crux of the issue. That's the reason why we're here. It's the paradigm of in which we were talking about right now. Everybody is on this single point, and you want to divert to other topics. And if you don't like it here, why don't you just go Netflix and chill, bro? Why are you wasting everybody's time with your
wait,
with
we wait, why are you the copium is so hard right now. So the guy who's just speaking just now specifically,
me,
right,
Skip along,
Oh, let me
and go
fin-
do something else other than
Bro,
waste
why
everybody's
you
time.
bit-
Okay,
why
okay.
are you
Why don't we
bitching?
just back to
Why
what we
are
were
you
talking about?
bitching?
Hold on. Why don't we just go back? Because like what I had initially asked, we never quite got to the bottom of something that I can go do to prove it. We kind of jumped on it about 4 different subjects there. I had
go ahead
asked
with your
initially something that I can do to prove that we're living on a ball, and obviously Jedi spoke you through about your horizon. So other than that, is there anything else that I can go do? Something that proves we're living on a ball?
Yeah, probably not. Like I would say, like that's the gist of it. Like I don't have a strong position for a globe Earth theory.
Do you not think it's wild that there's nothing that you and I can go do to prove it?
Not necessarily. I don't think so.
But they,
You don't think that it's absolutely crazy that we're living on a massive ball, and even in school we weren't taught on cool little ways that we can prove it, to measure it, to do all these cool wee observations. Instead, we weren't really taught anything.
No,
heard
no,
at
because I don't think it, like when it comes to like academia, like I would say that there are much more like useful topics when it comes to like jobs, especially like if you
that was just a kind of slight example. I mean, just in general, there's nothing.
That dude's a gas bag, man. He needs to skip along.
It's just like, what am I like while I do this?
Talk to somebody else.
Yeah, I speak though.
You need to stop bitching out. Like, come on.
Mr. Bambi, you cursed out Miggy. Can I speak? Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, there is something you can do to figure it out. It's literally the thing that I'm bringing up. So, if you really had a genuine curiosity, and by the way, when you made the point about being disingenuous, you said you wanted to know our perspective. How the hell can my perspective be disingenuous?
I didn't say your perspective is disingenuous in terms of the flat Earth descriptions. What I said was disingenuous is the idea that I am not curious about certain understandings of the flat Earth from your perspective by asking these specific questions.
An understanding of Earth, though. That's where you're wrong. It's not an understanding of the flat Earth. It's a verification of the globe Earth paradigm. One of the things, the core key thing being there's Earth curvature. You have a line to the horizon and a formula that dictates how far that is based on the size of the Earth.
Man, I refuse to believe you're that dense. I just do. I refuse to believe you're that dense. You say that you're interested in the flat Earth perspective, but you're not interested about our position about the surface of the Earth.
Wait, I
Do
didn't
you see
say
the problem with that sentence?
No, I didn't say that. I had a conversation previously with the other guy who was speaking, and he gave me a flat down rundown of the mathematical equation to determine how global Earth theory is like improbable, impossible. Sorry.
So you didn't tell us earlier that you're interested in the flat Earth perspective?
Yeah, I am to a certain degree in a certain aspect of it.
Right. So what I said was correct. Right. So once again, you're sitting here telling us that you are, quote, I am interested in the flat Earth perspective, end quote. But then you just said earlier to Eli after he asked you, right, about the surface of the Earth, you said that's not important. So you're interested in the flat Earth perspective, supposedly, but you're not interested about the issue of the surface of the Earth.
It's like
Do you see the problem with that?
This is a constant straw man, and you're not actually listening to the full descriptions of things. So some
go ahead
things
and
that
say it.
yeah. So when I said it is not, if someone said to go investigate, I said it's not as important for me to do the physical and observational experiments to determine this, right? Because this imposes actions on me to go outside and do the
Not analogous to what I just said to you.
Right, stop talking over, right? And let me just finish.
Not analogous to what I just said to you.
So we can just finish the conversation. Because obviously this is going in circles, right? And it's simple. What I find
You shouldn't have said this in the first place. This is infuriating. You shouldn't have said it in the first place, or else I wouldn't have said this. It's flagrantly self-contradictory. That's why I'm pressing you on it. And you know it's self-contradictory. That's despicable.
Taking this way too personally. It's insane.
No, it's despicable. You just contradicted yourself
Yes, you're
flagrantly,
taking it
and we just pointed it
personally.
out
This
to
is
you
the
at
point.
least 5 times now,
Why
and you
are
think
you
you're just gonna
taking
whistle
this
past
so
this
seriously?
because you don't want to face the critique.
Why?
But every
If I did, wait, if I didn't want to face the critique, then why would I concede on the fact that I cannot defend certain positions? This is me acknowledging critiques.
okay, but every
Right, so there's
time you
nothing more for you to say. You contradicted yourself.
It's not a contradiction because you did not understand the
Why?
statements that I phrased and described to you when in terms of not important. My criteria
Right, we
for
weren't
importance
talking
is
about
different
you
from
going out
yours.
and doing a goddamn project. You know that's not what
Oh
we were
my
talking about in the
god.
first place. Oh my
Oh my
God,
god.
we're listening to
Guys,
you, guy. We
Gregory,
weren't asking you
Gregory.
in the first place about can you go do this project. Bambi asked you, Eli asked you about the surface of the earth. Then you tell us you're interested in the flat earth perspective. But then you say that it's not important to concern yourself with the issue of the surface of the earth. That's self-contradictory.
No, I said it is not important for me to do the mathematical equations and go and do a deeper investigation. Someone told me to do a deeper investigation.
Okay, that's fine. You're not interested. Bambi, do you want to continue with him?
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, it's something that you've just got to realise that there's nothing that you and I can go do to prove that we're living on it. And all you have to do is just take what other people say as gospel truth. And as soon as you believe, I don't know whether I don't want to put words in your mouth, it is just a belief.
Yes.
That's like, okay, so that's good. That's a good place to start. Good. I don't want to say if you believed it or not, but
Yeah, I appeal to authority in this condition. Yeah, this is fallacious, yes.
yeah. So what?
And you still maintain
is,
it?
Because I still like maintain ambiguity. So I would say that it is definitely possible for the Earth being flat. I'm only saying it's possible and not it is, because I feel like there is a possibility of alternative arguments.
So
Which is
what would
so
you
not
say
ambiguity,
could
but
be?
rather just incredulity.
why do we
Hold
keep
on.
this?
Let Bambi go.
Why do we keep moving away from the one thing that I'm desperately fighting Gregory over the mic for to drag back to? There's only one thing that would validate whether or not the shape of the earth is a globe, because they make specific claims about it. There's only one way you can know, specifically because of the geometric claims that they make. That's it. There's no other way to know. Everything
That's fine.
else is secondary and tertiary.
You're
You
not
have a
fighting me, you're fighting him. He just said earlier he's not interested.
Oh
That's why
my
I'm
god.
saying what I'm saying.
Yeah, but when he contradicts himself,
You don't understand the contradictions in the standard. Like honestly, like I constantly have described what I meant by not important and what it in terms of relevance to the what I was responding to, and you
Okay,
constantly
say
use this.
everything you mean right now.
Yeah, so I tried to before, and you spoke over, and then we went down this tangent tree, like constantly doing that. Like if you
Right, so
don't
let's
care for this
rewind.
conversation,
Go ahead
let's
right
move
now.
on. Right. So
Rewind.
someone
Get back
said someone said to me that I should do a deeper investigation into flat Earth, especially when it comes to the mathematical equations in determining like the radius of the Earth and what we suppose is like the curvature, right, and where we can see it at. And I said, it is not important for me to go do this deeper investigation, which implies doing like, you know, reading information, sources, and like looking at this mathematical like equations, right? But
Sorry.
what is important to me is
Let him
other
finish.
but what is important to me and what I value is like asking general questions, what pop up into my head and does fulfill my curiosity, such as when it came to the telescope example.
Are you done?
Yes.
it took
Finally.
5 minutes earlier. 5 minutes. The thing
Not
that you
a contradiction.
5 minutes it takes.
Of course, it took
You did ask him to explain that, but
over and over again. I said I wanted
You,
to end the conversation. You kept going.
or because I'm not understanding what's happening right now.
I said I'm happy to end this conversation, and he keeps going at it.
You talking to me?
Pop yourself on mute.
No, not you. The
So,
people keep
go on to the
contesting
next person.
me saying I'm making contradiction. Keep going
Could I
at
just
it.
could I just ask you a quick question?
And he
Are you
edited what he
saying-
said earlier,
are you
but he
saying-
finished what he meant. So go ahead.
Are you
Wait, why not just
are you
include
saying
the calculator
are you
after the
saying that are you saying?
Say what I was trying to say when they let him say what he said. It took 5 minutes for me to explain the thing that you're saying you couldn't be bothered to have the time to go do. 5 minutes. It's not flat earth math. It's just the claim that you keep thinking is like super extensive and super crazy. No, it's not. It took me 5 minutes, 5 minutes of showing 2 videos and 1 citation from Washington.edu. Why couldn't you be bothered to take 5 minutes?
Because Elijah, right, doing this deeper investigation is going to take longer than this 5 minutes. And do like I already said, like I'm not versed in like physics. I'm not like when it came to the like no, stop. I know you didn't talk about physics. I know you didn't talk about physics. Wait, stop.
Not
Stop.
about physics, and it
Stop.
would.
I just fucking said that. Are you listening, Elijah? I said you are not talking about physics. I know that. However, Elijah,
then it's too much, and I'm saying no.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
Elijah, you fucking listen, and then maybe you understand it is a response. Like why? What? Okay, like I was saying, Elijah, it wasn't just you who said I should do this like deeper investigation, right? Like for example, someone was talking about like violating the law of like thermodynamics. That's the other position of why like the space doesn't exist, etc. Right? And I'm pretty sure he's the one who said I should do this investigation, not you. But if it was you, that's fine.
Wasn't. I didn't tell you to go do any investigation. I just told you the natural law that was in play and why space can't exist.
Yeah, that's fine.
If you want to investigate, pop a balloon. Entropy in action.
Yeah, Elijah, are you the individual who said I should do the investigation?
I get it. You're saying you don't want to do the investigation.
I'm telling
Yeah,
you,
I've said this already.
what I'm telling you is that what I explained about the one claim about the shape of the Earth would take 5 minutes. It has nothing to do with physics.
Right.
I already said
Okay,
that.
first of
Why are
all,
you
first of
repeating
all,
yourself?
so when it comes to looking into this, Elijah, it definitely, everybody does have their own time. It took you 5 minutes. Some people have much more cognitive dissonance, and it will take a long time. A lot of people get there in their own time. You can't just say it will take you 5 minutes. Some people may take slightly longer.
Well, no, not for him to understand, for Eli to explain.
Who cares about who he spoke to yesterday, the other day, 5 minutes ago, what he would understand, what he doesn't understand again? It takes 5 minutes to explain what I'm doing.
Just you're breaking up a bit, Elijah. I don't know if you're quiet on the mic. But if I could just ask Jesus' black question, are you saying that if the earth is flat,
The other guy's reply to Eli is just totally non sequitur. Eli's question to the other guy was, why couldn't you take 5 minutes to listen to me explain this? And then he replied with, because I don't want to do this deeper investigation that takes longer than 5 minutes, which is completely irrelevant from what Eli asked him. That's the problem.
He's claiming it's 5 minutes because he determined this in 5 minutes or explained it in 5 minutes and both relative to each other, right? And I say that I would suggest it wouldn't take 5 minutes, it would take longer than 5 minutes than he actually claims.
You don't know that. There's no point in you fixing your mouth and saying that. You don't know that.
I would assume that.
Trent, do you want me to tell you what took 5 minutes? Me listening to you talk about what thing took 5 minutes. Man, boy.
I know. I was trying
It's
to move
not
this
my
on.
fault that these guys are
Can I ask
stating
this
on this
question?
conversation. Move on.
I've been trying to ask you the question. So, if the Earth is flat, would you want to know?
But I want to know.
Yeah.
Yes, but I don't care to. No, actually, no. That's not how I would answer it. Because I don't care to know enough.
But would you? If it is flat, would you want to?
So there are certain levels I do care to know, but not enough to make the deeper investigation. That's my response. So if someone had,
What the hell does that mean? There are certain levels that I do care to know, but what?
So why are you here then if you don't really care?
Sorry.
Why are
I
you
said this
doing
about 10 minutes ago, man. You guys should have moved on from this guy. Get somebody else that was interested instead of this guy. He's just like telling you over and over again he's not interested. So
That's what I was
I don't
just
know.
getting
We
to.
should
Like,
find
why are
find
you
another.
using English
Can,
like
can I
that?
sum this up? Can I sum this up for you guys? Can I sum this up? No means no. Okay.
Yeah, this is what I was wrapping up with. If you don't
Not
really
with this
want to
guy.
know, you can just pop yourself on mute and we can speak to other people. And I guess you can go to
That's
say
fine.
there's something that you are interested in.
That's completely fine.
In this instance, then Bambi's question still stands. Is there something that we can do to prove the convexity of the Earth for ourselves? Anybody else has got an answer for that? We'd love to hear it.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people in here. There must be someone else for the globe who thinks there's something we can do to prove it.
Freaking ensnared in the habit of doublespeak.
Anyone? Something we can do to prove the globe.
The same question I was asking earlier. Is there anyone who would like to prove that we live on a ball?
It's quite simple, guys. There are only 3 physical claims that they make about the Earth: what it is, what it does, and where it does it. 1, that it is a ball. 2, that this ball moves. And 3, that this ball that moves does it in the vacuum of space. So if you've got any proof of curvature of the Earth, motion of the Earth, or violation of laws of nature, and we're all ears. But until that point, the
A
Earth is
violation
flat,
of the laws of nature, Jedi?
Say that again.
No, I'm just laughing at you. A violation of the laws of nature.
Well, you can't have gas pressure without a container, especially uncontained from a vacuous space, because the gas would fill the space and we wouldn't be breathing.
Like, what is so difficult to grasp about that? The doctrine is that all matter is in a vacuum, a cosmic vacuum, which includes gas. Right? That's a problem.
Quite easy to understand that if I was to have a balloon, the gas is kept in that volume because of the physical boundary of the balloon. Let's look at Jupiter, that's uncontained from the vacuum of space. According to the laws of thermodynamics, the gas would fill the space. That means that me and you wouldn't be breathing gas pressure right now because the gas would have fucked off into the vacuum of space because there's nothing physically keeping it here.
Hey, what of gravity?
Observably, gravity, and I'll give it to you for this argument, let's say that it's been scientifically proven. Observably, being as when I drop a rock, it goes downwards, so the vector of gravity is down, but gas moves freely and randomly in all directions. Gravity's not acting on gas then.
But
If it
you
can pull
have
a rock, why can't it pull gas? That's inconsistent.
if you have a gravitational force that is greater than the force of the gases, wouldn't it just stay there?
So again,
When I drop
listen
a
to what I
rock,
just said.
sorry,
Right? It can pull down a
when I
rock, but it can't pull down gas.
Same argument with the vacuum chamber, right? You impart gas into
Yeah.
a vacuum chamber, the gas moves freely in the vacuum chamber, hitting all of the walls, the ones on the side, the ones on the top, and the one on the bottom. Now, that's on the Earth, that is. So you can have the gravitational force of the Earth acting on that gas. Oh, but it's not. The gas is moving freely and randomly in all directions, is only kept in that volume by the physical boundary of the container. Remove the boundary of the container and the gas is able to move outside of that volume. Obviously, that's why we have tires and containers and balloons and stuff, to keep gas in places.
You know, it's like saying that I'm able to lift a ton, but I can't lift a 5-pound dumbbell. That's
If that's the
inconsistent.
case, why does air pressure decrease as you go up in altitude?
Because we live in a dynamic pressure environment. There is energy imparted into the system. We'll call that
What
heat in one
energy?
instance. Also, heat, if you let me finish. So from the sun, thermo heat from the ground, hot and cold, you know, all those type of cycles. And what you also have to understand is this: the gas is produced within and on the Earth's surface and within the waters of the Earth, chemical and biological cycles. Being as the Earth, the mass is the thing that is said to be keeping the gas here, why is the gas first instinct to move away from that mass? So this is why we have a gas pressure gradient. The gas is produced down here where we're breathing.
Well, the competing idea is just that gravity pulls air to Earth and that's why there's fewer molecules further up there in
Yeah.
altitude you go.
Yeah, gravity
So
is
what's
being
stopping?
selective with various kinds of matter. It'll yank down water. It'll yank down all the seas and the mountains, but it's going to
What
be a bit more lenient with gas.
Do you know what an excited particle is?
I would argue it's
Yes.
not.
What's an
competing i-
excited particle?
It's not a competing idea. Seeing is that gravity has
What?
never been. Gravity is supposedly the cause. At least in your example, the
Wait,
cause.
well, hold on. Let's not skip to the next bit. We had like a few claims dropped on the table. Now you're saying something else.
Thing. I'm addressing exactly what you said.
No, I'm saying that there's about 3 or 4 claims that were just dropped onto the table, and you're just moving on to something else.
No,
What you
we've given you a response, but you're yet another guy that's so quick to reply, not
You
listening
made-
to the answer, not
you
not
made
letting the
claims.
answer given to you breathe.
You made
Son-
claims, right?
Okay,
So
just
you
let-
said
So any-
that what the reason why there's less molecules further up in altitude you go was because
is insane.
what was the reason again?
You say you determined to say what you want to say. You don't actually want to hear our answer.
I'm going to the first answer that was given to me. I'm not going to skip to the 5th answer. The first answer would all do just fine. Thank you very much.
All right, so just insist on what you want to say.
Well, you can't throw out claims and then say, "Well, don't talk about that claim."
Well,
We'll
you
talk about
can't
another one."
ask questions and not listen to the answer, now can you?
Well,
Well,
if you
you
give
can't say
multiple
5
answers, he
claims
wants
and
to go for it
complain.
one by one.
He's fair. He's fair. Listen, he's fair. We posted our own rules that we're going to go to claims one by one. So, someone tell me what's the claim on the table that needs
The
answering.
first,
that you want answered.
I want to know what the first claim regarding there being fewer molecules the higher up in altitude you go. Someone posited an explanation for that, but I can't remember what they said.
Yeah, that's fair. So, who posited that? If that explanation can repeat themselves, that would be great.
I think he
So we
said
live in a
50
dynamic. Go on.
Jedi.
Oh,
Yeah, Jedi.
Yeah, Jedi, you go.
No, the answer was we live in a dynamic environment, don't we? We have heat in the environment. We have multiple different types of gases in the environment, and all of the gases are produced down here at surface and within the ground. Chemical and biological cycles, right? So if the gas is produced down here, don't be surprised that there's more gas down here.
So are you saying hotter molecules, particles rise? Is that what you're saying? There's like a convection?
Well, it's not the only thing, but yes, heat does make gas rise. Hot air balloons, for example.
What's the other dynamic properties that cause it?
Chemical and biological cycles of the Earth. Nitrogen cycles, for example.
Can you give me
all of the
a bit
site
more
in
of
that
a fleshed out answer?
Water cycle, evaporation of water up into our clouds and comes back down as rain.
Okay, so
You'll notice that the steam from your kettle goes up, right?
That's fine. But just to be clear, when you say, for instance, look, I think that you can't have gas outside of a container, and you posit all of this, doesn't seem to be inconsistent with what I've just posited, right?
Well, you're positing that the gas gets up to an altitude and doesn't keep going and disperse into the vacuum of space as per the second law of thermodynamics. What you're saying is the gas will eventually get so far away from the surface of the Earth that it will start coming back. Are you aware of the inverse square law where gravity gets weaker the further away from mass? So if the gas is produced down here, where the gravity is supposed to be stronger, but you say up there it starts turning around and coming back, I need to remind you of the inverse square law to do with gravity. It gets weaker up there.
Well, some gas does escape into the atmosphere, but the there is some molecules higher up you go. Although,
And then the gas that doesn't in your paradigm.
The gas that doesn't is up there for reasons like I said, excited particles, because some particles have more energy than others, right? So some particles can move a bit more upwards in altitude, right?
What does it have to do with the gravitational pull, supposedly?
It's not inexplicable, right? So I don't know why you're saying this is.
What does it have to do with the gravitational pull, supposedly?
Well, if you have more energy, you can move away from the gravity. How do we send?
So what, the gas is
objects into the
voluntarily
atmosphere?
moving
It's like
away
saying,
from the Earth?
It's like saying we can't send planes into the atmosphere because gravity.
So the
pulls it
gas
down.
is voluntarily moving away from the Earth, my guy.
Voluntary
It's
is
voluntarily expending energy to push against the gravity.
Voluntary is describing agency to a molecule. I don't know why you're doing that, right?
Right. So the gas isn't as though it isn't as though the gas particles are exerting and persevering against gravity.
Why are you
Because
adding agency?
impersonal-
Why are you saying persevering? It's a particle.
Because I'm exposing the absurd implications of
no
your
one
premise.
said- no one thinks
what does it have to do with the energy in the particles?
no
We're
one
talking
saying-
about non-matter operating according to impersonal, non-living forces, supposedly.
No one's
right?
saying a particle
so
thinks
as it
that-
concerns the relationship between the gas particles and gravity, the further away the matter is, the weaker the pull. So it's not going to come back, it's going to go away.
No one's saying a particle has feelings and wants to go upwards, right? It has
Okay,
energy.
so pay
It has
attention to
energy.
the answer. I'm not going to let you obscure my answer. You're sitting here trying to appeal to the energy within the gas particles as though that makes a difference. What does it matter that it has more or less energy than other
So-
types of gas?
So
it has nothing to do with the gravitational pull.
So you just
in
sat
your
up-
own paradigm.
You just listened to Jedi talk about how heat, which is basically an excited particle, can cause molecules to go up and colder ones to go down. Right? You just heard a flat earther say that, and you're telling me that there's a problem with that idea. Why are you disagreeing with your own comrade over there? I don't understand.
What I said.
Oh, so you're not saying that? So wait, so it has nothing to do with energy then? Has nothing to do with heat and energy?
No, I'm just disagreeing with the way that you formulated what I just said. You didn't paraphrase me correctly, mate. I only brought up the argument about heat rising and gave you the example of a hot air
Why
balloon.
does heat rise?
An excited particle?
There you go. Thank you very much. Right now, two flat earthers are disagreeing with each other, and I'm on the sidelines right now.
Yeah, but the excitation.
Yeah, you're manufacturing this contention because you're determined to
you set
defeat
yourself
the
up for
position.
this. You set yourself
No,
up for
you're
this.
manufacturing the contention, and when you hear someone begin to rebut you, you immediately blurt out noise to suppress their voice with yours. So as I was saying, in tandem with what Jedi was explaining, your appeals to the supposed energy of the particles has nothing to do. It is an insufficient appeal to account for why the supposed gas particles come back, because heat rises.
No,
right?
gravity can pull a particle back down.
Yeah.
Oh,
see, that's the problem.
Sorry.
Here's the thing.
And I have
Jedi-
to stop right there. I need the observed. Sorry, Eli. I need the observed phenomena of gas being pulled by gravity. We're going to start doing some science now. You've got an observed phenomena, apparently, of gravity acting upon gas. Show me.
Not
Where
even
can
being
I go
consistent
in
with your
nature
own
to see
premises.
gas coming
The
back?
gas
I haven't
giants?
finished. I haven't finished.
Well, that's the claim.
Hold
You know
on.
what
That's
spectros-
outside the
you know what
paradigm. That's the
spectros-
very thing that's my goodness me. That's the very thing that's in content. Why do I have to start shouting? Please don't make me do that. I don't want to. There are people asleep and I'd rather be heard. Now, if you're going to start bringing up gas giants, that was my example from 20 minutes ago, a violation of that natural law, an uncontained amount of gas in a vacuum. According to laws of nature, if the gas is uncontained, it should freely disperse into the lower vacuum pressure environment. But we're not going to be talking about Jupiter at the moment,
That's
my
not the
friend.
second
Hold
law
on,
of
I haven't quite
thermodynamics.
fucking
It's
finished.
contained within.
Excuse me.
Thermodynamics has
Why do you
nothing
think
to
the
do with
second
this.
law of thermodynamics says that all gas has to be in a container? Where did you get that idea from?
Right. I'll tell you right now, because second law of thermodynamics, we're talking about the transfer or movement of energy. Now, I can give you two examples. One example of this movement of entropy is, for example, I've got a hot cup of coffee. And you do understand that if no energy is imparted into that hot cup of coffee, obviously it's going to get cold. Now we can speak about gas high pressure. The high pressure will always move into the lower pressure environment. The hot cup of coffee won't spontaneously start getting hotter, and the lower pressure environment won't move into the higher pressure environment. It's a direction known as entropy. See, the thing is, the claim is a decrease in entropy, which is a violation of that law, because we know entropy increases.
What? Okay, so thanks for stating the second law of thermodynamics, in case no one took fourth year
physics. But
Incorrectly, by the way.
Clearly, Brit
yes,
hasn't.
it
'cause he
actually
doesn't know
actually
what any-
incorrect in how you define a system. But what does that have to do with explaining the gas giants?
What does that have to do with what we're talking about? We're not talking about fictitious, humongous balls of gas in a cosmic vacuum right now.
Well, you ask for an evidence, empirical evidence of how law of
looking at the
gravitation capture
sky-
gases together.
Isn't
Right,
that
which is not
pressure.
fictitious, humongous
High
balls of
pressure.
gas in a cosmic vacuum.
High pressure
What makes
moves
them
into lower pressure
fictitious?
environments.
Because you don't
So,
believe
for
in them?
example, I've got a vacuum chamber that's got no gas in it. The only thing that's separating those two is the physical boundary. I remove the physical boundary, and guess what happens? The higher pressure moves into the lower pressure environment. The lower pressure environment doesn't move into the higher pressure environment. That's stupid to suggest. So obviously, if you have an uncontained volume of gas from a much lower pressure environment, according to entropy, second law of thermodynamics, the gas will fill the space.
What
So,
if you have
given
a
the behavior and nature of gas, and given your cosmic paradigm, it implies the absolute dispersion of gas, therefore suffocating us. But we don't live in that world, so that paradigm
Oh, no,
implies falsehood and therefore is false.
No, like this whole gas needs a container. It's just a misunderstanding of the second law, right? You don't.
Let him finish. Let him finish. Let him finish. Let him finish.
Sorry, no, I've got to
You
jump in.
can.
We're not talking, my friend. We're not talking about gas needs a container. What we're talking about in that instance is the consequence of contained gas. It is under pressure. Two slightly different arguments, and I get really pissed off when people fuck those two up. One instance is the direction, the entropy. High pressure will move into lower pressure environments. To have
In
gas
what kind of
pressure,
system?
To have gas pressure,
Reality.
you must have something for the gas to press upon. That's why it's in the goddamn fucking word, pressure. It needs something to press upon. If it hasn't got anything to press upon, you will not have the consequent of gas pressure. And being as there's no physical boundary to keep the gas there, the gas will fuck off.
And the pressure is held, and that pressure equilibrium is held by gravity, right?
No,
no.
Well, that's what I mean. This is one of those things.
Being inconsistent with your own cosmic premises.
You literally are trying to deny the reality of gravity at this point. Literally.
Give me Give me a scientific experiment that proves gravity. What's the hypothesis, please?
Yeah, so this is one of those things that it's one of the where the claim of why it doesn't rise into space is its gravity, right? But that can only be really just demonstratable on a large scale. So there's really no. It's one of those. There's really no proof.
Essentially saying if I just prove my proof into existence, then I would show it to you.
That's not me.
Everybody keeps saying gravity is acting on the gas, and I've given you gravity in that instance and pointed out that you do not have an observed phenomena, gravity acting on gas. Now I'm going to ask you for a scientific experiment that proves gravity, whether it be mass attracting mass or the bending and warping of space-time. I want the hypothesis, please. Because if you haven't got a scientific experiment that proves it, then we don't need to talk about it.
What do you mean? There's no scientific experiment to prove it. There's literally like every second as we speak, people are doing research on this.
Did you do the Cavendish experiment in high school?
Yeah, and do you realize that the Cavendish was superseded over 110 years ago by Einstein and the bending and warping of space-time? Newton
That's in
himself...
quantum physics.
I haven't
You know
quite
that.
finished ruining your paradigm. Newton himself did not want to be associated with the magic at a distance. You do understand that mass attracting mass is not your cosmological gravity, right? That's Einstein, the bending and warping of space-time, my friend. Also, the Cavendish experiment is not a scientific experiment unless you would like to give me the hypothesis.
But are you just simply saying that we haven't figured out the quantum gravitational theory, therefore your theory of gravity is incomplete? Is that your argument?
No, his argument is literally that that there hasn't apparently been a scientific experiment whereby the hypothesis is to prove gravity.
Oh,
well,
he wants that specifically.
He'll accept that it's incomplete.
He literally wants a scientific experiment whereby they state hypothesis gravity.
Give me just a second, guys. They'll accept that it's incomplete, right? but they still want to act like it's complete. So if I sell you a
Right.
car and it doesn't have a transmission, but everything else works, it's incomplete, so it's not a car. So you guys admit that you don't have gravity.
Yeah, we
Bro,
call
I
it a
gave you a
working
complete
model.
car without the engine.
What?
Well, if it works for everything we describe, right, it's still a
doesn't.
working model and the best model
It
that
doesn't.
describes the
No,
current
That's the
model.
That's not. It
hypothetical
doesn't.
premise. It doesn't. It doesn't work.
Does it?
Wait,
Doesn't
Does it work?
pardon?
Does it work for
So,
selling alien lunar eclipses?
wait, so
No,
you
no,
have a
fucking
car
fuck.
with no transmission that still works. Is that your claim?
I hate this guy.
'Cause
I mean, really.
I'm honestly confused about your
I
analogy.
mean, that's.
Sorry.
I think that's
Right, there's so
a
many
really
people cross
crappy.
talking because they're offended that their cognitive paradigm is being challenged. What
No, I just
Jedi
think
just
that's like a
explained is
weird
very
argument,
simple.
right?
Again, the cross talking. There cannot be no progress in this discourse if people keep cross talking one another to finally move forward. What Jedi just explained to you is what we do observe, this natural law concerning entropy, the second law of thermodynamics. That's what we observe. Given your cosmic paradigm, the next premise, given your cosmic paradigm, that all this matter exists in a vacuum and open, and therefore implies that we would all have no gas near us to breathe, and so could not have this debate. But that's a false implication. Therefore, the paradigm implies falsehood, and that which implies falsehood is false.
Y'all got no experiment for gravity containing air, suckers.
You haven't got any
that's
experiment that
true.
proves. Sorry, you also don't have a scientific experiment that proves gravity. If you're going to say Cavendish, then give me the hypothesis. You understand? You understand that if we're going to be talking about science, that we're most definitely going to be needing a hypothesis to test in a physical experiment. Or do I need to tell you what science is?
You probably do,
that's
Jeff.
that's just
Please do.
bastardization of scientific methods.
No,
Do you
you're
think
gonna
there's
have
some?
to.
Okay, so wait, so this is the hypothesis.
Wait
The
out for him,
gravitational force
Jedi.
between two masses is directly proportional to the product of the masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance
That's
between
not a
their centers.
hypothesis. It's
Oh
not
my
a
Not a
hypothesis.
hypothesis.
So what
No,
is?
And it's irrelevant.
sorry, guys, please.
So
A
what is?
hypothesis is quite simply an if this, then that statement. If cause, then
What?
effect. What? I know, groundbreaking, isn't it? A hypothesis is a supposition into cause and effect. We're doing science, right? So cause and effect relationships, yeah, that's what science does. We formulate a hypothesis. We suppose what causes a phenomena to happen. So if this, presumed cause, then that phenomena. We then test that in a physical experiment where the researcher, the scientist, will physically manipulate what he presumes the cause of the phenomena to be. If
Yeah, and I'm
within
just
the experiment
sorry. Go
you
ahead,
can
Jedi. Sorry, you're done.
demonstrate. No, go on, you're fine.
Well, I thought you were done, but I'm just going to throw in there then that unless your observed phenomenon is air pressure, what's going to follow is not going to be a hypothesis test for gravity containing the atmosphere that you believe in. Sorry.
Because you don't have the observed phenomena, which is what I was trying to point out over the last 20 minutes. You don't even have the observation of a phenomena to ask the question, what causes that to happen? Because gravity, your presumed cause, makes things go down like rocks and water and shit. But gas is moving randomly and freely in all directions, so you don't even have the observed phenomena. So you can't even start with science.
What do you think down means?
Oh my fucking
Like
God.
legit, like
away
honest
from the
question.
upper extremity.
Oh, that's a tricky one, man. I don't know. Can someone help me?
Away from the upper extremity down to the lower extremity.
There's only one
I'll
down.
help you,
I want
creation
that.
bear. Yeah. So even okay, let's capitulate to your argument. So gravity moves towards the center of mass, which would be inward. However, what we experience gas to do is it goes everywhere else.
Yo, whoever thinks
Is
the Earth is
why.
flat 2024 is a fucking loser. Whoever thinks the Earth is
Yeah, well done,
It's
that man.
2023, ding dong.
Well done.
Get it going.
So it's quite simple.
Did that Glober
I
not even get the
explain it.
year right? It's true.
Dude, holy
I
smokes.
know. It's quite simple. I'm just going to repeat what Elijah said. You drop a rock, gravity vector downwards or inwards to the center of mass. That's gravity's vector, downwards. Gas, moving randomly and freely in all directions. Ah, shit. So we don't have the observed phenomena of gravity. If we are to give it to you in this instant, of acting on gas.
Well, I
Now,
mean, that's why we have fluid dynamic simulations, right? That's how we predict how the molecules of gas are going to move.
So we're so past the discrepancy highlighted repeatedly.
It's a red herring.
And,
So
okay,
we're
can I just ask
predicting-
Jedi? I want to talk to Jedi then. Can I just ask? Okay, I accept your argument now. You're asking for hypothesis equals gravity. But do you think there's some utility to accepting certain forces, or let's call them axioms, which allow us to make predictions and build upon further theories, and
is it
which
with these
explains
people and predictions?
99% of the things that we observe?
See, the thing is, you said theory. So scientific theory would come after the hypothesis test, the very thing that I'm asking you for at the moment. All right, you're convoluting
No,
your
no.
words.
No, I never said theory.
You're convoluting
I
your
said
words.
further our theory upon. So it doesn't have to be a theory. It could be an axiom, a force, whatever the thing you want to call. If it serves some utility in making predictions, explaining 99% of the things that we observe, do we have a value in using it as a working model?
Doesn't explain 99% of things.
That is just a elongated way of saying it's a supposition. That's all you're saying.
Which satisfies our empirical observations. Yes, you forgot the most important part.
No, it
Well,
doesn't.
You would first need a natural phenomena observed, like he said 30 minutes ago now. So you said your empirical observations. Well, clearly you've introduced a non sequitur, because the one thing we don't observe is gas moving inward towards the earth.
Like, how could it sufficiently account for the empirically detected phenomenon if the supposition doesn't correlate to any empirically detected phenomenon? No, it doesn't.
Well, okay, so with the gas example, I wasn't even bringing the gas giants up, but if you want to stay there, that's fine. But if the gas giant model, it builds upon multiple theories. Unfortunately for you, there's multiple forces working at it. It's not just gravity. As you said, there's probably some thermodynamics involved in it as well. But a lot of the forces are coming together, and we have pretty good prediction of how gas molecules behave. And
Therefore,
a set of
undermining your
systems that-
appeal to gravity to account for why it doesn't go into the vacuum.
No. Just because the gas molecules don't go down doesn't mean that gravity doesn't exist, right? Gravity exists, but there are
Therefore,
other
undermining
forces.
your appeal to gravity. You people will not pay attention to the critiques against your logic sequence. The problem is, when you appeal to mass attracting mass, Newtonian/Cavendish gravity, it necessarily implies the either absolute implosion of all matter, we don't live in that world, so that's false, or the absolute disintegration of all matter, we don't live in that world either, so that's false. Then you go to Einstein, it's a fallacious reification of space and time, as though space and time are physical concrete particulars that can be warped. That's not true. That's
okay,
not
no one
empirically
would-
verifiable.
no one
Therefore,
would-
that's false. So no, I'm not done. When you appeal to gravity, you are making an appeal to account for why the gas doesn't leave the ball and therefore suffocate us, which is antithetical to how you just previously described the nature of gravity in the previous breath. The further
What
away
did-
the
what
object
did I
goes
say?
from the mass, the weaker the gravitational pull. So it's not going to come back to the Earth. It's going to go away the further away it is. In your own premises.
Okay, so are you done now? Okay.
But is that
as I-
not a rebuttal to what he said, sir?
Yeah.
You guys are saying gravity holds the gas down, and then you're saying, well, like you're saying that, well, just because it doesn't happen, doesn't. You guys have a contradiction. There's a big problem here.
There's multiple forces. Your statement is true if and only if gravity was the only force acting upon these gas
Well,
molecules.
one, they don't even claim gravity to be a force.
Therefore, undermining your appeal to gravity. It isn't gravity that's responsible, so you shouldn't appeal to gravity in the first place. That's
What is
that's when
controlling
you
the
give
gas?
that reply. That's the implication.
Okay, so we've moved. So we're progressing. What is containing the gas then?
Gravity.
Sorry. You're going to have to now give me a scientific experiment that proves gravity. Hypothesis, please. Naturally observed phenomena to start with, because we want to figure out the cause of that phenomenon, don't we? So,
That's not how we do science.
Do some jumping jacks.
That's not even how science is
Sorry,
done.
we're going to have to get some clarity on this now, guys. What's the phenomena we're supposedly observing that we want to figure out the cause of? And if you're going to say gravity, then we're going to have to physically manipulate gravity as our presumed cause now, aren't we?
No.
The guy already
understand what a
conceded.
hypothesis is, and you do understand what science is, right? Please tell me that you do.
I'm not sure if you understand how science works, because no one would
Oh, I
directly
do, and
test
I'll
the.
tell you what,
No one
I'll
would
give it to you
test.
right now. I'll give it to you right now. A
No, please
hypothesis.
don't repeat the scientific method because it doesn't matter. What you're saying is, can you actually directly test the
So
hypothesis,
hold
the
on,
existence of a metaphysical
I
thing?
don't understand what science is, but yet I can tell you what science is according to the scientific method, and you're just going to hand wave that away, you disingenuous git.
What is the second law
Stating the
of
scientific
thermodynamics, and
method
how are
doesn't.
you suggesting that it applies to the Earth?
My goodness me,
Bro,
am I
I'm
you
sorry, that
whistle
wasn't
past
disingenuous
you
at all.
whistle
It was
past
it was
Jedi's
honest.
demand
You're wrong,
repeatedly.
Jedi. Sorry, Jedi. I apologize for interrupting. You're wrong, Jedi. He said it was metaphysical, right? Which means that it's like God in his opinion, right? How many angels can dance on the head of a needle, right? If it isn't physical, then it's metaphysical. And if it's metaphysical, we're not talking about reality. Thanks.
No. And if we're not
That doesn't.
talking
I
about
don't agree with
physical
that rebuttal.
things, hold on. If we're not talking about physical things, then we are most definitely not going to be doing any fucking science now, are we? Being a science, natural science deals with the physical and natural world where we try to determine the cause of an effect in the physical and natural world, because the researcher wants to physically manipulate the physical thing to see if it causes the other physical thing to happen.
Okay, when you say physical, do you mean like materialistic, objective? Like, how would you classify fundamental interaction
Why are
forces?
you asking that? You don't know what that means.
Well, we asked it, so you know.
Yeah, I just want to.
Clarification. He's not looking for your definite. He's looking for your definition, not the definition he's already aware of, so that he can continue the conversation.
I just
Go
want to
ahead, Jedi.
see if I just want to see if everything when you say physical has to be like. Is he going to answer?
It sounded to me like you'd agreed that gravity isn't the answer for what's containing the gas. So
They still haven't
what
told
is
us the
containing
naturally
the gas?
observed phenomenon in the first place. Still.
What's containing the gas? Since you've agreed it's not.
No
gravity.
idea. Fucking no clue. Anyway, how
Okay,
does the
that's what
second
you're
law of
saying.
thermodynamics apply to the Earth? And what kind of system is the Earth?
The
It's an
behavior of
open
gas.
system. It's an open system.
Contained
Isn't it?
system.
It's an open system, the Earth. Free matter transfer. An open system as opposed to a closed system, where only thermodynamics like heat and so on can escape, but physical matter itself cannot escape. Being as the Earth is declared to be an open system, that's physical heat and energy and matter transfer. We're going back to school now.
Right. Yep. And I'm just trying to close. Okay. So if Earth is an open system, so explain how entropy works in an open system.
Awesome. So we understand, and I gave this example earlier, and I'll give it again. Entropy is like a direction, my friend. For example, I've got a hot cup of coffee. I leave it on the side, and it will go cold. It will not spontaneously start getting hotter if I do not put any more energy into the system. Hot goes to cold. Also, we're going to be talking about gas, as in high pressure environments. We understand that high pressure will always disperse into lower pressure environments. Lower pressure environments don't disperse into high pressure environments. That's now just stupid to think about, isn't it? So entropy, it's basically a direction.
Right. So and you had a very interesting if in there, right? If nothing else is added.
Well, yeah.
Can you think of two potential sources of stuff being added to maintain not necessarily local entropy, but system-wide entropy?
Why are you asking these questions to him? He doesn't believe this cosmic paradigm.
I don't care to answer your question. I want him to answer mine.
What, like heat?
What does that have to do with the cosmic paradigm we're scrutinizing?
It's important with respect to the conversation about the second law of thermodynamics. So I'm going to continue to ask my question.
Right, concerning your cosmic paradigm.
Gregory,
Okay,
can you
cool.
just let the two converse?
No, he's switching the tables.
Greg, you're annoying. I don't want to listen to you. So, Effie Jedi.
No, you're
can you
annoying.
explain,
You're switching the tables
like,
unnecessarily. We're not
what,
talking about.
Can you
the
identify
cosmic paradigm.
potentially two of those local areas of where energy could be added to maintain global entropy, or not necessarily global, but system-wide entropy in that open system?
So we could be talking about heat, for an example. Would that be correct?
Well, let's be very specific. What can you think of two ways in which energy within the system, within the open system of the Earth, could be added to, despite entropy and the movement of the energy from areas of high pressure to low pressure? Can you think of two sources of energy where that would be coming from?
Like the sun and the earth, heat, for
Mhm.
example,
Mhm.
radiant heat from the Earth's surface and heat from the sun.
Mhm. So, second law of thermodynamics does what exactly to interfere with the model of the globe?
So disingenuous.
According to entropy, the high pressure system will disperse into the low pressure environment. I don't care how hot or cold the gas is.
Unless and if no energy is added, right?
Sorry, you're going to have to fill in your blankety blank questions now, mate. Come on, get to the point.
Yeah, so entropy is an important consideration. And when you're dealing with something like an isolated system where there is nothing that can go in, right? You are
Isolated
eventually going to
systems
deal
don't
with that.
exist.
There's no
Well, that's
such
cool.
thing as an isolated system.
But when you're
All
dealing
systems
with, but you
are
acknowledge that with an open system, you are dealing with a situation where additional energy can in fact come in. So this idea that eventually all of the pressure is just going to be gone is just not right.
It's not a
right?
matter of going in or out.
That's
It's an
dumb
open
because
system.
open and closed systems, first of all, isolated systems don't exist. Open and closed systems have energy that can go in. But the problem with an open system is that physical things can go out. Gas pressure, gases are physical and they can go out, but they're not. That's the violation of the second law.
They're not,
And the
or
problem
we
is,
are
the problem
still
is it's
maintaining
not in
with
and
what we
out.
have.
It's not in and out. It's not correct. There
Wait,
is
do
no
you think-
in and out in your
hold on,
paradigm.
I'm
You're
trying
flying
to
around in a
understand-
cosmic vacuum.
Do you
Hello.
think that-
You have
do
to
you think
acknowledge
that,
this.
like-
This is not ancillary. This is not negligible. I'm saying this for a reason. It's not a matter of in and out. That necessarily implies a container is being exited or entered. You don't have a container in your cosmic vacuum. So it's not a matter of in and out. It's a way and toward.
So let me ask you guys a simple question. Can you think of a way that you have, let's say, a gravitron, and you could speed it up as high as you want to create artificial so-called gravity, and you have a propane tank facing the center? Is there any way that you could speed it up fast enough to create enough gravitational pull that the propane tank would not spew out until it reached equilibrium?
I have no idea.
Right. You don't, but that's what you're claiming, is that gravity is holding the air towards the center of the Earth. But you can't open a propane tank that's got 250 psi on Earth and hope and pray that gravity keeps it in the bottle. Because once you open it and you create that barrier, the gas has nothing to press against. It's going to spew out until it reaches equilibrium every time, no matter what, 24/7.
Yeah, that's not to say that there's the force that's keeping the gas in the container is gravity. It's a completely different force.
Okay, so what's the force that
So
keeps...
then you toss away
gas
gravity over
pressure?
your shoulder then, like you just did.
What's the force that keeps the gas pressure? All right, what's the force that keeps the gas pressure here on Earth?
In a container?
If it's an open container. You say the Earth is open, right? People can go to the moon, right?
Sure.
All right, so if people...
You're
went
not
to
considering
the moon-
density. The density of the atmosphere lessens the higher up you go.
And?
I think the question he's asking is
the
what's the
density of that air with gas pressure, right? Which you cannot have in your open system of your cosmic vacuum.
See, we're talking about gas pressure, which is X, and you're talking about gas pressure gradient, which is delta X. It's a non sequitur. Please continue. Thank you.
To have a
You literally
gas-
just said it's not gravity, so you tossed gravity over your shoulder just now.
No one said it's not gravity. It is gravity, right? Well,
So
we're
someone
leaking a
just
little
said
bit.
that. So when are we going to stop touching ourselves?
Well, I
Next
don't care what...
person who says gravity is going to be held to this. I want the scientific experiment that proves gravity and the natural observed phenomena of gravity acting on gas. Now, this isn't a gotcha question, my friend, right? You are not my enemy. Literally just trying to point something out to you. There is no scientific experiment that proves gravity, and there is no observed phenomena of gravity, if we were to give it to you, of it acting on gas.
Wait, what? Sorry. You're saying that there's not a single empirical experiment on gas molecules regarding laws of gravity?
Laws of gravity? No. Let me restate the question again. First, you're going to have to give me a scientific experiment that proves gravity. We'll just stop there because everything else seemed far too complicated for you. So, scientific experiment that proves gravity, please.
Will
That's
be
like the 7,000th time we've asked for that. Please just meet the demand.
Wait. Hold on. Because the issue is usually when these things what you're experimenting is trying to find the variables that add up to show that, like, oh, you can create a predictable model. What you're doing is you can't, like, show, oh, hey, here's the concept of, like, this entire wide genre of like an idea. Here is it just working, because at the end of the day, all someone has to do to show gravity is that thing go down. But the issue is that's not what we're actually looking for, because the issue is that's not the end of the story. So, like, we could go through and do, like, the difference between aerodynamics, the differences between, like, different densities on, like, different items. There's a whole clip. So yeah, go ahead.
I do apologise for interrupting you, but you said things go down. Yeah, apart from gas. I drop a rock, it goes down. I pour water, it goes down. But not everything goes down, because gas is moving freely and randomly in all directions. So please be careful what you say.
Lower density.
Go down.
Okay, so just to clarify, gas is down. Wait. No, because you're making a little bit of a mistake. Gas is down. Gas is at the bottom. And much like a cup of water, if there's too much gas at the bottom, the rest of the gas piles above it and it raises up. So you can see that because gas actually acts a lot like a liquid. It just has way lower density.
You mean fluid?
We didn't say that there is no gas down at the bottom. The gas is produced from the bottom. We didn't say there is no gas down at the bottom. We're telling you, as we clearly observe gas behave, it rises up. It doesn't go
gas
down.
Underground. It's not produced underground.
Just like the
There's
people.
gas underground. Gas, like a
So
liquid.
that's no refutation to what I just said then, right?
Okay, calm down, because I'm not exactly sure you're saying what you think.
You're about to say that gas fills all
No,
spaces.
you're so determined to reply rather than listen.
Greg, 2 seconds. My friend, were you just about to say that gas fills all spaces? That underground gas is filling the space, a bit like water does and fluid does, yeah? Yeah, that's our point. That's our point. Gas fills space, doesn't it? If there's a vacuum up there, that's a great big fucking space. So the gas would fill the space.
It's the gas in the air. Well, no, because the gas in the air is less dense, right? If you go higher, you get less air, because anyone who lives in a mountain can attest that it's actually harder to breathe up in a mountain.
Yeah.
So why is the issue?
That's a gas pressure gradient. Again, the word within that is pressure. To have a gas pressure gradient, first you must achieve gas pressure. So,
the force of gravity is a little bit higher than the force of the.
Please don't say force. Please, my friend, please don't say gravity is a force, or I'm going to you about 10 people on your side who say that gravity is not a force. Professor Brian Cox, for example, Dr. Musa, for example, gravity isn't a force. In actual fact, gravity hasn't been thought of a force for over 110 years, since it was superseded by Einstein and the bending and warping of space-time. Gravity is no longer thought of as a force.
Well, I was
acknowledging that gas is denser the higher up you go is no refutation. Acknowledging the fact that gas is denser, that gas is less dense the higher up you go is no refutation. That's the natural behavior of gas. As the density decreases with your altitude, you still have gas pressure. You cannot have that in your open system in a cosmic vacuum.
Well, that's why we have weather.
So, if I can attempt to continue, there is something that is, for some reason, putting some kind of pressure on all of the gases, and for some reason the trajectory is, like everything else, down, and for some reason this causes the air to compress, like we all know, and the higher atmospheres to be less.
It's not some reason.
So there is
we know the reason.
Yeah, but there is an interaction that's happening there. There's multiple interactions that we are all pointing to.
It's the ground,
and it's also
obviously there's something in the sky, or we wouldn't have gas pressure. There has to be contained gas pressure. Or
you're acting like there has to be a containment, but this is a little
okay. Can you show me gas pressure without a container?
Well, we're
You're
experiencing.
acting like you don't need one.
Because
special pleading fallacy.
Wait, hold up,
back
up. Because by your own definition, I literally can't.
Wait, no, by his own definition,
No, no,
you
no.
can't.
I am on Earth, and therefore either because by like these definitions, the Earth in itself has to be a container. Otherwise, the air, like how else would the air work? By your own definition. So if even the Earth itself is a container, there is nowhere in the world I can go
didn't say that to
where
you.
there is no container. No.
Yeah, there's dirt on the ground. That's half of a container. What about the sky? Where's the other half of the container?
That's
That's what I'm saying. Like you guys are demanding a container, and if the whole world is a container, then there's nothing I can go that doesn't have a container because the whole Earth is a container.
Where's the
Right, so unlike your cosmic paradigm,
No, that's what he's saying. There is no container in the sky, yet according to you, all the air would have leaked out by now.
What is your profession?
See, old friend, I brought more soldiers than you did.